What's going on, fellow A-plussers? It is I, your host, as always, Adam Perez, coming through once again with a brand new episode of A-Plus Hero Report, your weekly stop for your Marvel, DC, television, and movie news. Going live today over on our YouTube page, also streaming over on Facebook, as well as Twitch for you gamers out there as well. So thank you very much, guys, for certainly wrapping up your week the correct way here at A-Plus Hero Report, making sure that we keep you guys up to date and posted with everything that's going on in the world of nerd pop culture. We got some great topics that we're going to be breaking down for you guys today. We got 6 right off the bat, some honorable mentions to go ahead and kick off this show. And as always, guys, your live viewer questions to go ahead and wrap up this episode. If you do have any live viewer questions, feel free to go ahead and submit them over anytime to aplusopinions@gmail.com. Again, that's aplusopinions@gmail.com. And we'll definitely get to your answers or your questions at the end of our shows. If you happen to watch a movie or a television series, or you read a rumor or theory or a news article you want to go ahead and dive into, feel free to submit them over at any time, guys, and we'll definitely have gotten you covered. Let's see who's in the live chat with us today. We got Datilla in the house. Thank you very much, Datilla, for certainly coming through. He says, so who is going to wear a wig on the next stream? According to Datilla, she's kind of curious to know with our WrestleMania predictions that we wind up dropping, at least for night 1 as of yesterday. If you haven't checked it out, it is WrestleMania weekend. Oh, what a time to be a wrestling fan. There's so much certainly going on in the DFW area here this week. We had a night 1 event for WrestleMania. Tonight is in fact night 2. And if you guys did miss our predictions, me and Indy, we did in fact go ahead and post our predictions as of yesterday for you guys. So definitely go ahead and check it out. Loser does actually get the opportunity to wear a wig on A-Plus Hero Report for the entirety of a show one weekend. So we're looking forward to it. We also got Marcelino Vasquez in the house. Thank you very much, guys. He says, hey, guys, I heard that there's going to be a Poison Ivy reportedly in development. I don't think it's an April Fool's joke. Well, let me go ahead and throw this question, Marcelino, over to the entire gang, because that's right, guys, we got ourselves a packed house today, as we not only got Stuart in the house, but we also got Indy joining us here today, man. So we do got everybody joining us. Have you guys heard anything about a Poison Ivy show in development?
Poison Ivy series? No, I mean, I've been the closest thing I've been hearing was rumors that they're going to be bringing her into the DCU EU in some way with Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn, because I know that Margot Robbie's been pushing for it, but haven't heard anything about a series yet.
So maybe it was an April Fool's joke. I'm not quite sure, but who certainly knows? Well, if we hear anything, though, Marcelino, we'll definitely keep you posted. It's good to have everybody here, man. The entire crew. I feel like we've been missing each other. Either I got Indy or I've got Stuart here. So it's good to see everybody. How's you guys' weekend been, man?
Good now that I'm finally done with work.
Oh, nice. Nice. Like done as in like you're no longer at your job?
Oh, no. Still working there. No, what I mean is just finished up for the week. So basically Saturday was like my Friday. So I got today and tomorrow off. So yeah.
Very nice. Well, we're glad that you get some rest for yourself there, Stuart. What about you, Indy? I think you might be on mute right now, but how's your week been, man? Enjoying the weekend so far? Enjoyed your WrestleMania yesterday?
I'll let you know after I count these points up, because I think I'm losing, but I'm not sure. I think, like, going off the top of my head, but I got to count these points. If I'm winning, my weekend will be going well. If I'm losing, I might be a little bit upset and going into tonight scared, because I kind of went kind of crazy with my predictions for today. So no, I've been good. Started the new gig. Loving life in Wisconsin, you know what I'm saying, so far, except for the fact that it is still snowing.
You can't escape it, man. You're going the wrong direction. You got to come south.
Hey, no, I saw y'all had snow, so like, I
barely. I mean, like a day.
Hey, never snows in San Francisco.
Yeah.
You're going the wrong direction, Indy. You gotta go south or west, man.
Yeah, and yes, I did predict Seth's opponent would be the Fiend, but I also predicted that whoever the opponent was, that Seth was going to lose. I just wanted the extra point for predicting the Fiend. So Adam did get that extra point for that Cody prediction, but we both still gained points off that match.
Did you have more points for that match than me?
I think I had more points.
Okay, so
in that match for you. I knew Seth
better.
was losing. I think that's where it went. So we'll see what happens. I'm gonna add it up. You'll see a graphic go up on the story and everywhere like that. After this pod is done, and we'll see where we're at before day 2 starts.
Oh man, should be a good WrestleMania day 2 or night 2, I should certainly say. But let's go ahead and start diving into some of our honorable topics or honorable mentions in regards to kicking off this week's show. We do have a plethora of topics to dive into. So without further ado, anybody got any honorable mentions? Indy, you got anything for us today?
Yes. Fighting game fans. As me and Forsaken covered on A+ opinions, I want to make sure that everybody knew. This year on Netflix is getting crazy with the anime game right now. There is a Tekken anime coming exclusively to Netflix. So make sure you guys stay tuned to A+ opinions, A+ Hero Report, Anime Assembled. It's too many A's. Anime Assembled to get the news and details on that.
What was the name of it? Like Bloodlines or
Bloodline.
something?
Yeah, Tekken Bloodline.
Yeah, I did see the trailer for it. It looks pretty sharp, man. I'm the only time I've ever really played Tekken was in the arcades. I don't think I've ever had it on handheld console or anything like that. I've always played it in the actual arcades. But classic game to say the least. So should be pretty good. I like some of the anime stuff that Netflix has been doing.
Yeah, they've been doing big things with it, man. And when Tekken 7 came out so long ago, like people don't actually remember how long ago Tekken 7 came out. But I really feel like there's a new game coming out because Tekken 7 was 2015.
Is this a way to like revitalize the franchise, you think, or property?
I think it's to bring more interest into the story more than just the game, because Tekken does have a rich lore. You know what I'm saying? With it that people don't pay attention to. A lot of fighting games do, but what do we use fighting games for? We don't play them for the stories.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, for me especially, it's like, if I'm playing Tekken with the arcades, it's like, I don't care about the stories. I gave you my quarters. Let me fight.
Yeah, hurry up with this round 1 already. Yeah, that's interesting, man. I'll definitely go ahead and check it out. But if you guys want to know anything a little bit further about the series, definitely go ahead and check out Anime Assembled. Indy and Forsaken, they go ahead and drop an episode on Saturday mornings for you guys. So Anime Assembled up here on A+ Hero Report. Go ahead and certainly check it out. What about you, Stuart? You got any honorable mentions or recommendations for the movies this week? What do you got for us?
Yeah, honestly, I'm not gonna lie, I got nothing today. The only thing I got is I've been looking at reviews for Morbius. I haven't had a chance to see it yet, and I'm actually kind of excited to watch this movie now because I'm really curious if it's as bad as like a lot of people have been saying it is. And what I like about this too is that it means I'm also not in too much of a hurry to actually watch it. So yeah.
How about you, Indy? Have you checked out Morbius as of yet? I've been hearing negative reactions from critics, but some people that have seen it fan-wise have enjoyed it.
Okay, this is the issue with this movie. I'm not trying to give a full review. I want people to actually go see it and not base it on what my opinion is. People poo-poo on Jared Leto. And I think it's the fun thing to do now is to Jared Leto's a horrible actor, which he's not. He's not top tier, but there are plenty of worse actors, David Arquette, you know what I'm saying, stuff like that in franchise movies that we flock to see. So this is another situation where Sony doesn't know what the hell they're doing. And that's honestly what it is. If Marvel's not involved, Sony poops the bed.
So you weren't a fan of it?
I wasn't a fan of what they were trying to do. It just feels like it should have been heavy reshoots done on this movie, especially after No Way Home, because it feels like this movie is a basis for them trying to expand their Sonyverse instead of having some type of cohesive story in what's going on. And they're reaching a little bit. A lot of stuff that happens in this movie, especially in the 2 mid-credit scenes, guys, don't make any sense at all, because it doesn't give any explanation on how things happen compared to what we already know from what we've seen. Now, maybe after Doctor Strange, maybe stuff will make a little bit more sense and why Morbius ended the way it did and how it was. But it was not a Morbius movie. To me, it was more like a Dracula origin story with feuding vampires. Like it would have worked way better as some type of cartoon or anime adaptation in a live action.
Okay. Yeah, we'll see what I haven't had the opportunity to check out Morbius yet. I do want to go ahead and see it just because I've enjoyed the trailers that I've seen so far. But I will say, if there's anything that does worry me, I feel like Sony as a production company is just like the I think Sony just makes mediocre films, unfortunately, when it comes to
Mhm.
superhero related stuff. I just feel like it's very paint by numbers, let's just try and get by sort of thing. And it's just never an eventful moment for me, from whether that be the both Venom movies. I think it's just paint by numbers, mediocrity sort of at its finest that Sony tends to kind of get by on from films. But that's just me. That's just my worry about Morbius. Like, Morbius has looked good for me trailer wise. My worry is going in there and having been enthralled by the trailer, but yet still getting mediocre levels of storytelling
And
that would disappoint me.
and also, I just want to give a much well deserved and long overdue shout out to Jeffrey Wright, and just the incredible actor he is, because there was a point in time he had everybody thinking he was Puerto Rican. I watched Shaft this weekend, and his portrayal of Peoples was just incredible, because I swore up and down that dude was Puerto Rican like the entire time. And I was like, hold on, that's Jeffrey.
Is
Wow.
is Jeffrey Wright in Morbius, Indy?
No, it's just that I literally just finished watching Shaft, and I was just in awe of his performance as Peoples. And then after seeing the Batman and watching how he played Gordon, it's just, I'm like, this dude doesn't get his flowers. So
Okay.
if anything with Morbius, it just remember Jeffrey Wright exists when you go watch Morbius, and maybe
Okay.
you'll leave out the movie thinking a little bit better about it.
Okay, this is so left field, so left field, but okay. Couple quick last minute honorable mentions before we get into our topics. The Batgirl movie has officially wrapped. They went ahead and revealed some photos this past week from the set itself, as the two directors have in fact wrapped Batgirl. That movie is set to go ahead and drop later on this year in December to go ahead and round out 2022 for us. So it is in fact going to be entering post-production. But Batgirl is wrapped, guys. Are you excited to see this movie?
Yes. It's funny, this is gonna sound like a negative, like not a compliment, but I swear to God it is. I still love that her costume actually, especially in this photo here, straight up looks like a cosplayer. It like doesn't look like one that you would normally see in a traditional superhero movie. And I swear that's not a negative thing. I actually mean that in a good way, because I think it really works for the type of Batgirl that I think they're going for in this movie.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this. I am really glad that they officially wrapped. I mean, I feel like they announced it, and before we knew it, it was in front of cameras. So the turnaround for putting this together was incredible. So hopefully there's no more delays when it comes to DCEU movies, and this does in fact sort of get released. As of right now, it's still set to release on HBO Max. Indy, do you think that this could potentially eventually be moved to theaters, or do you think they're going to stick with this promotion aspect for HBO Max and push it to build the subscribers?
I'm gonna go from a business aspect point of this and what's going on with Warner Brothers and everything right now. I think that it's the smarter move to release it on HBO Max, just because they need the subscriptions of HBO Max to go up, because it seems like Warner Brothers is selling a lot of things off. So I think they want the numbers on HBO Max to go up, but really, what really, other than we recently had like Peacemaker and a couple other things, do they have to drive subscriptions to that? I think Batgirl could possibly do, almost said Batwoman. Batgirl could possibly do that, and it'd be a smart move to make. Other than if like the CW gets sold and they want to take Naomi and Stargirl off and put that on HBO Max, you know what I'm saying, exclusively, and just drive subscriptions to there, similar to what Disney does, and they'll be cool. Because I think there's an earnings meeting coming up soon, and they want that subscription count up. So that's something that would work very well for them.
And other than that, in regards to Batgirl wrapping, the other honorable mentions we have for you guys: more progress on Creed 3 has been showcased. We got some behind the scenes footage of photos, I should say, of Jonathan Majors getting ready to go ahead and face off against good old Michael B. Jordan as we see the two of them together on set as Creed 3 is working out. This looks like a training montage, perhaps, maybe for even Creed. The guy's homeboy's on the beach, it looks like. I don't know what part of the country he's in, but he's looking swole as can be. Jonathan Majors looks like he's ready to whip that ass for Creed 3. Are you guys pumped for this, man? I truly am getting up to see these photos now.
I'm pumped to seeing what Michael B. Jordan can do as a director for the film. That's what I'm really hoping for. It's really hard to mess up a Rocky or a Creed movie. It's show somebody.
I mean, tell that to the director of Rocky 5, but okay.
Well, they kind of moved away from the formula. Yeah. It's like show somebody full of themselves, have to get broken down, come back up and champion over, you know what I'm saying, a opposing threat. I mean, it's a paint by numbers when it comes to Creed, as long as the acting is decent. I mean, come on, Sylvester Stallone played Rocky for how long? Like he's not the most incredible actor. He just played the part very well. And the Creeds to me have been better than the Rocky movies in my part. And that might be because I relate to the Creeds more, I guess, because of the aspect of the main character's African-American and what he had to deal with. But I am looking really forward to where the story is going to go. And I question that picture with him talking to Michael B. Jordan. Like, what do you think they're talking about? Like, you think Jonathan Majors is looking at like Michael B. like Will Smith wouldn't have slapped me?
Yeah, he was like, I'm gonna whip that ass, Michael. You better be careful. He's like, I hope you're training too, because I'm gonna whip that ass when I see you.
He look like he finna eat Michael B. and Ant-Man for dinner right now.
For real.
It looks like they're just doing like the same take over and over, and he's just like, come on, I've been running up and down this beach like 20 times. When will enough be enough?
Do you think he's playing Mr. T's son in here? Do you think they're going to continue to make those connections to past Rocky characters, or do you think he's going to be his own person?
I don't think his son, but I think he will have some type of relation to that camp. Like maybe not that, but he's trained by the same camp that Mr. T was trained by.
I got you. Good old Clubber Lang.
Yeah.
I pity the fool.
I can't do the son thing again. Like
I get you.
There's too many sons running around.
I think like it's either going to be an original character, or it could be, because I know that Apollo Creed did have like another kid that we actually knew about in the Rocky movies, so it could be that kid, you know. So maybe brother versus brother type of thing.
That would be dope. I would also love like for the son of Mr. T to be a promoter. You know what I'm saying? And this is the boxer that he got, you know what I'm saying, in order to try to take out the Creed. But the brother, I don't know if I want to do the brother thing either, man. Like the brother thing's like played to death.
Yeah, it is a little bit. I get it though.
Yeah.
I get it.
But that'd be an incredible story, because a lot of people forgot that, you know what I'm saying, he had another son.
Yeah, so we'll see how it turns out, but production continues when it comes to Creed 3. And then last but not least, we wind up getting brand new posters for House of the Dragon, the brand new HBO Max series as Game of Thrones returns to television once again. I can't remember how many years before Game of Thrones this is. Is this like 100, 300? I don't even remember. But, you know, what's interesting to me is this past week, we actually got 3 new posters. First and foremost, I didn't even recognize or realize that there were dragon eyes in the background of these posters. I just saw the dragon eggs themselves. I remember when I saw the first dragon egg poster, I was like, oh, that's a cool poster. And then I kept seeing the dragon poster over and over again. And I'm like, why do they keep putting out duplicates? And then I quickly realized, wait a minute, these are actually all 3 different eggs. And now I'm literally just realizing the dragon eyes in the background of these posters. Damn, I'm pumped for this series. They actually posted brand new images too. I won't post them up here, but if you want to check out some of the actual images from the show, check us out over on our Facebook page. They are currently up there right now. But we did get 3 brand new posters from House of Dragon, showcasing and teasing at 3 different dragons. Indy and Stewart, man, how pumped are you for Game of Thrones to return in some fashion?
I am a Game of Thrones fanatic. Books, television. This will be the highlight of my 40-year-old life.
Oh gosh, okay.
I can't wait for this. Sex, blondes, and dragons. That's my creed. So I'm really pumped for this. I really feel like they got it down packed as far as the vibe and how they want it to feel, because Game of Thrones, when it came out, it was something different. Like it just, the feel of that series felt, you know what I'm saying, important. The visuals, the storytelling. Even if you didn't like the last season, I don't care. It was amazing. There's shows that ended worse. And I'm really looking forward to this more than I am anything for the continuation of The Walking Dead, because you know that was the comparison they started running about the same time. Man, it's just this is when HBO shows its booty. It's when they do stuff like this, and I'll be right there day one. If I can get it early, I'm gonna watch it early, and you might catch me live reacting to the entire friggin' series because I'm that stoked about it.
Yeah, and this is for HBO too. The fact that they actually have what do you call it? Something they can actually adapt from, right? They actually have like books and stuff they can actually adapt this series from. So it's not the idea of them having to be original or create story to wrap up the season, you know, towards the end sort of thing. They have the story kind of already told for them. So hopefully they should be pretty good in regards to adapting this story into live action. So I'm really looking forward to it. What about you, Stuart?
Yeah, I think it looks like it's going to be really good from everything that we've seen, from like the teasers that they've been releasing to the behind the sets photos and everything like that. It looks like it's going to feel very much like Game of Thrones, like not necessarily a continuation because obviously it's a prequel, but it is going to feel like you know, that same production, that same I don't know how to describe it, but yeah, that basically overall tone that Game of Thrones set. I feel like we're going to get a continuation of that. And I think what made like a lot of the fans get burnt out from the original Game of Thrones was the fact that, you know, we had the writers, the showrunners of that show also being burnt out with the show. And it kind of like you could kind of tell during its last season, like the writers weren't having fun, and therefore it felt like the fans weren't having as much fun. So hopefully that's a mistake that they fix with this show. Like if they notice that the showrunner isn't really enjoying what they're doing, hopefully they know that, hey guys, we can rotate these guys. You don't have to commit to one showrunner, you know, for the entire series, you know.
You want to know why? I'm sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, yeah, I definitely do think that this will certainly have their Game of Thrones feel to it for sure. And listen, the idea of promoting dragons, I mean, everybody loves some damn dragons, and I really do think we're gonna see plenty of them in this series too. So I love the idea of them pushing them first and foremost onto the posters.
No, the reason why they weren't having fun the last season because they actually had to write the last season. It wasn't mapped out.
Oh, that's true.
That's what I'm saying. I think that this story is completely told for them. So the idea of being able to adapt it and bring it to life, I think people will hopefully be pleased with it, but we'll see. But guys, let us know your levels of anticipation. August 21st, House of the Dragon is Game of Thrones returns to HBO. I'm certainly pumped for that. But are you guys ready to go ahead and tackle some of our main topics for the day?
Yes, I'm ready to spill my Targaryen blood on the main topics.
That's right. I love it. First off, real quick shout out to Usai for certainly coming through, showing some love to the channel. So thank you very much, guys, as always. So let's go ahead and dive into this, man. We're going to go ahead and get into our Star Wars bag to go ahead and start off this week's episode as good old Donald Glover. That's right. Mr. Atlanta himself is in the news once again. As when it comes to Star Wars, it feels as though they are taking over television. I mean, we've got some great content so far from them in regards to The Mandalorian. We recently had just gotten the limited series of Boba Fett. We're very much looking forward to the Obi-Wan Kenobi series, along with Ahsoka, Andor. The list continues to go on and on with the Kathleen Kennedy announced Disney Plus series that we've been having so far. But one of those particular series we have not heard of from quite some time is, in fact, the Lando series, since it's been announced like a year and a half ago. When it was announced, it was just simply a title for a series. A lot of questions and speculation in regards to, is this animated? Is this live? Is this live action? Is Donald Glover even going to come back to go ahead and play Lando Calrissian? And so this week, guys, we wind up getting further details from Mr. Donald Glover himself in regards to what we can expect when it comes to the Lando series. Is it even happening? Is it not? Is he still attached? Let's go ahead and dive into it, guys. I want to go ahead and see what you guys thought in regards to what Donald Glover is saying in regards to this particular role. As the last time that we saw him, he was in fact in the Solo movie, and now he could be getting his own Solo series. You see what I did there? But let's go ahead and dive into this. This is from StarWarsNewsNet.com. Donald Glover addresses the Lando Disney Plus series. It says, ever since Lando's Disney Plus series was announced back in December of 2020, there have been no word from Lucasfilm or any of the creatives involved about the project. We didn't know whether Billy D. Williams or Donald Glover would be back for the role or any plot details either. However, Donald Glover may have recently hinted about his involvement in the show. Glover is recently promoting his new FX series Atlanta, which just started airing its third season. He was recently speaking to Jimmy Kimmel, who directly asked him, "Are you working on a new Lando project now for Disney Plus?" And this is what Donald Glover had to say. As he's laughing, he says, "Am I? No. Yeah, I have a lot of things. I like to blossom and then go away. And right now, it's definitely the start of another one of those. I have like a ton of stuff I'm working on, but I just wanted it all to come out at the same time. I feel that's what's important to me." And so he says, while he never mentioned Lando specifically, the text is very clear, and it is important that not only he didn't shut it down, but he also said it's definitely the start of another one of those. He goes on to mention that he's working on many other projects and that should also be kept in mind. However, this is not a situation in which a Lando Disney Plus series is a rumor out there, as it was for Ewan McGregor. Kathleen Kennedy announced the project during an official Disney presentation. So again, he does say, I have a lot of those. I like to blossom and then go away. And right now, it's definitely the start of another one of those. So what do you guys take when it comes to Donald Glover in here? To me, it does very much feel like he is at least emphasizing the idea that, hey, I am attached to this Lando project. It does feel very much like he also has a lot of things on his plate. And it wouldn't surprise me if at the end of the day, whatever he's working on kind of all releases around the same amount of time. I think marketing ploy just for his own stardom is probably a great thing to do, to constantly be in people's mouths after you release one thing after another sort of thing, right? So the fact that he says, it's about time that we started doing one of those things again, it seems as though that he's at least open to the acknowledging that, yeah, the Lando series is certainly happening more or less on his time, though, than their time. What do you guys think about this, though? Let me start off with you, Stuart. How are you feeling the words that good old Donald Glover is saying about this?
I honestly think this was a I don't know type of answer, and it was just him trying to be as vague as possible, just because I feel like when it comes to Disney and just the way they've been handling a lot of their projects, they tend to keep actors out of the loop, and also they seem to want actors to act like they're not out of the loop whenever they're asked about the question, so you always get like these extremely vague answers, and that's kind of what it comes off as to me. And I do think it might also just be kind of a mixture of a couple things. Like, he does mention being busy, which he is a really busy, not just actor, but,
Very
musician
much so.
as well.
Yeah.
So it makes sense that, with Disney trying to figure out how to schedule their projects and make it so it also works in line with his projects, it makes sense that there wouldn't be any like solid date as to when they want to start filming it quite yet. So yeah, I do think the Lando project, it's not like the Rangers of the Old Republic. I do think it is going to happen. I just don't think they actually have an idea of when they want to start shooting it, neither Donald Glover or Disney. And yeah, that's kind of the vibe I got from that answer.
Yeah, I can definitely see that vibe for sure. Because it is rather vague. I do think that he is at least referencing that and acknowledging the idea that he is at least attached to it. But I would agree with you. I don't necessarily know if there's a rush to go ahead and take care of it as of right now. But you're right. He's a very busy man, and I think Disney recognizes that and just is kind of allowing him to put all his ducks in a row, if you will, before maybe getting behind the camera for this. But let me throw this over to you, Indy. You hear some of the comments that Donald Glover is. Do you find it as vague as Stuart is referencing here? Do you think he's coming back, or what do you think he's talking about when he references this?
I think Donald Glover is a busy man, and I think even though Disney is the power that it is, they have to work around his schedule, because there's things that burst him to stardom before, you know what I'm saying, him being Lando even happened. So I really don't think they know when something, I don't think he knows when something like that's going to happen, because I don't know how important a Lando series right now with everything else going on is for the importance is for Disney. So I think it's something that they want to do, that they know people would like, but how important is that to the stories that they're trying to tell right now, especially with stuff going on with the Mandalorian, the Ahsoka series coming out? That there's stuff that fans want to see more right now than the Lando series, and I feel like we know where Lando ends up. A lot of these other stories that they're telling us are stuff that we didn't read, stuff that we didn't see, is new to us. So I think it's something where Lando could be like one of them, when they don't have anything else to put out, here comes this Lando to hold us over until they get to the next thing.
Do you guys, even though there is no release date or maybe plans as of right now to maybe get him in front of the camera, do you guys see this series actually happening though? Or do you, I know, Stuart, you mentioned the idea that you don't think that this is a Rangers of the New Republic situation where it'll get canceled, or it's just a completely different situation. But do you think that Lando could possibly fall to the wayside, or do you think Disney recognizes who they have in Donald Glover attached to this, and that there may be some Star Wars fans that clearly want to see this? What do you guys think?
I think personally that this is something they want to do, but it's not a very high priority. So if it comes down to it, like later, if someone like, if some pitches come in for Disney that are like too good to turn down, and they know that it means that they have to scrap one project in order to get to this project, I feel like this is one of those projects that would get scrapped for something that they think could be more profitable.
I will say this, I definitely hope it's not something that gets more scrapped. I do think that this is something that they can really benefit off of for a couple of reasons. I mean, you're right. I do agree in the sense that they don't necessarily feel like they're very much in the rush to do this series, and I don't feel like they need to be. I think they've got a lot of momentum already riding behind them when it comes to Obi-Wan. I think there continues to be a lot of interest in regards to what Andor is going to turn out to be. We know Ahsoka is about to be in front of the cameras rather soon, and people are really anticipating that. So there really is a whole entire time period and just Star Wars content that's coming out that I think is really going to hold us over for a while, that maybe they don't necessarily need to tackle a Lando right off the bat. But I think they can hold off on it a little bit longer too, because I think for those who maybe felt disappointed with Solo, maybe this allows you to separate yourself even further from when it was originally sort of released. Even though I do feel like when it comes to Solo, there are there are feelings about that movie continuing to change for the positive as more series pass on, to the point to where I've actually been seeing like hashtags and people really pushing for the idea of a Solo 2 to maybe come into fruition. While I don't think a Solo 2 will happen, I think the idea of still giving those fans something Solo-esque could happen in a series like Lando. So I do feel like there is a place for a Lando series still. And when you're already kind of dealing with that time period between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope, I do think that something like Lando will really fit into filling out that continuity even better. Again, right, we've got Obi-Wan, we've got Andor, both series taking place in between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope. So I think if they want to continue to build that time period up, a Lando series featuring Donald Glover, I think could really be gold for them. And by doing that, you do open the door for, say, the actor that played Han Solo to maybe come back, right? Continue to tell maybe some storylines and plots that you had for a Solo sequel, and maybe future storylines that you could maybe sneak into a Lando series to progress the storyline for some of these characters. But I think when you've got somebody as good as Donald Glover that really captured people's imaginations as Lando in Solo, you really got to do everything that you can to hold on to him to really make this happen. I think this is a moneymaker certainly waiting to happen for me. Francois, what's up? Good to see you, man.
So sorry, but Lando is a funny name. Can't stop laughing.
Hey, man, it's been a name. It's been around for years. Good old 30 years. Good old Lando Calrissian.
Yeah.
Speaking of Lando, real quick, for you Star Wars fans that love novels, this year they do plan on dropping a Star Wars book called Shadows of the Sith. which are actually going to cover the time period of Luke Skywalker and Lando trying to hunt down some of the artifacts that we heard about in Rise of Skywalker. I think they're going to focus on their adventure. It was the Exegol search and things like that. So yeah, we're going to get a Luke and Lando storyline later on in the Star Wars novels this year. So I'm really looking forward to it.
That'd be really interesting. The cool thing about Donald Glover is I think he's about 30, somewhere between 37 and 39 years old, and still like he's in his
looking great,
late,
man.
Yeah, it looks like he's in his late 20s. So he could play this character probably into his, you know what I'm saying, late 40s and it still be okay. And even if they can't get him to play it, I mean, they still got like a 28-year-old Chance the Rapper that could just, you know what I'm saying, go right into the role, just grow a beard and be good. But
I mean, is he a good actor?
Who cares at this point?
I mean, I care. I don't want some Chance the Rapper dude just to come up just because he looks like somebody. No way, man.
I mean, come on.
That.
They've given worse actors to Skywalker now. I'll let you take that and let your mind. I'll let your mind wander.
Is that a jab at Hayden Christensen?
I don't know, man. I still give it to Hayden over Chance the Rapper.
Every ray of sunlight is not a good one.
Yeah, I don't get the reference, but okay. But anyway, we'll see what happens here, guys. But look, we want to know your thoughts at the end of the day. Are you excited for the idea of Donald Glover returning for Lando? Do you think that this is certainly something that's going to happen, despite the vague comments that we certainly wind up getting from him? Please go ahead and certainly let your thoughts be known in the live chat or the comment section box below, guys. Awesome. So off the top with Star Wars, and now we're going to go ahead and dive into the world of DC because, man, the drama just continues to unfold when it comes to the DCEU as Ezra Miller has found himself once again in the hot seat. We thought he was going to be in the hot seat last year when some videos emerged of him choking some poor lady outside of like some bar that they went to or whatever the case may be. I think they even had like the cops called on him. I don't believe he was arrested at the time, or maybe some of the charges were dropped, but I will tell you this, Ezra Miller was certainly in some hot water that unfortunately seemed to kind of go by the wayside, and Warner Brothers didn't speak upon it. I think they just kind of tried to sweep it under the rug. I have no idea what happened from it, but I will say that at the end of the day, Ezra Miller can't help himself. Homeboy is back in the news, Stewart and Indy. And let's go ahead and dive into this article here because Ezra Miller has in fact been arrested. I think he's been released on bond, but earlier this week, he definitely found himself in the middle of some issues. So let's go ahead and dive into this and see what Ezra's getting himself into this time around. This is from Entertainment Weekly, letting us know that The Flash and the Fantastic Beast star Ezra Miller arrested for disorderly conduct and harassment. It looks like he's going to be joining Johnny Depp when it comes to the Fantastic Beast and getting in trouble. They wind up changing, I think, the Johnny Depp's character in the Fantastic Beast. Will they do the same for Ezra Miller? Who certainly knows? But let's go ahead and dive into this, man. There is an update here, but we'll get to that in just a second. The original article did say that Ezra Miller, about to be seen in the Fantastic Beasts, The Secrets of Dumbledore, and next year's The Flash for Warner Brothers, was arrested in Hawaii last Sunday night for disorderly conduct and harassment. According to a media release from the Hawaiian Police Department, Ezra Miller, who's 29, was at a bar on Silver Street in Hilo when the actor became agitated while patrons at the bar began singing karaoke. Miller began yelling obscenities and at one point grabbed the microphone from a 23-year-old woman singing karaoke, which amounted to the disorderly conduct offense per authorities. Later, the actor lunged at a 32-year-old man playing darts, which earned them a harassment offense. Miller was arrested by South Hilo patrol officials and charged for both offenses. They were released after posting $500 bail. And then it does also mention the 2020 altercation that he wind up having. And I'm assuming this is Ezra's mugshot. The finest. There is an update. It does say that his arrest this past Sunday seemed to be just the tip of the iceberg. It says Miller was the source of at least 10 calls to the Hilo police since March 7th. Authorities told Associated Press those incidents were small offenses, including filming people at a gas station, refusing to leave the sidewalk area of a restaurant, and arguing with people. One more severe incident involved a couple who let Miller stay with them at a hostel. According to the Associated Press, this couple filed a petition on Tuesday to take out a temporary restraining order on the actor after Miller had allegedly burst into the bedroom, threatened them, and stole some of their belongings, including a passport and a wallet. What the is going on with Ezra Miller? Oh my God. So the first initial report was just the bar incident of harassing somebody for singing karaoke. First off, karaoke atrocious to anybody's ears. I get it, Ezra, but harassing people, like if you're going into a bar and you know they're going to sing karaoke, you got to be prepared. You got to be prepared. And now we're getting word that he's had in the month of March 10 incidences of all small offenses. This guy's just really getting under people's skin and nerves. Stuart, I know you really wanted to talk about this week. Give us your thoughts on what's going on with Ezra Miller here, man. And do you think Warner Brothers will do anything about it, or will they turn a blind eye yet again?
So that question is the main reason I wanted to talk about this article.
He is wilding, you son.
Wow. Yeah, like from everything I've seen in this article, it looks like a majority of his incidences came up from a certain doctor, and that doctor is Dr. Drink. Sorry, that was bad. Anyways, yeah. But the big thing I wanted to kind of bring up about with this article is, so last year, or not even last year, this was like 2020, when we saw like that original video with him choking someone. There was a lot about the video where it was like very vague, and then there were like a lot of different statements that you kind of heard afterwards that like suggest he was like the victim of being harassed by a bunch of like fans at the bar, and might have just had kind of a breaking point. Not saying that it makes it okay, obviously you should always keep your hands to yourself, and that kind of stuff. But at the same time, it looked like there was like at least like something that kind of led up to it. Like it might have just been kind of a point of him breaking. But here with like over 10 incidences in this one thing, and then, all of it kind of revolving around alcohol, it looks like, and the fact that Warner Brothers is still yet to comment on any of these. My biggest thing is that I feel like Warner Brothers is going to try to wait for this to blow over and then never bring it up at all, because like you currently have like many different news outlets trying to reach out to Warner Brothers to get a statement. They aren't saying jack shit. And I think this is what's going to upset a lot of people, is the idea that, you get they fired Ray Fisher for talking out about harassment, in the work environment, and that got him, fired. He lost his job because of it. And then you have this guy who's going out making a complete ass of himself. And, Warner Brothers is seemingly trying to just like brush it under the rug and continue on like nothing, business as usual, like nothing's happened. And just to be clear, this isn't me like jabbing at like Ezra Miller themselves. Like I do hope Ezra gets the help that they need, because, alcoholism is a serious issue for some people. And so I hope, they don't have to, I hope like this, being viral and everything doesn't make it worse for them. So I hope they get the help that they need and everything. But at the same time, just because someone's a victim of alcoholism doesn't mean there shouldn't be consequences. So it's really going to depend on what Warner Brothers does afterwards, especially because I think if Warner Brothers sweeps it up under the rug, like it seems like they're trying to, it's only going to make things worse for them, because then they're going to realize, hey, I can get away with this kind of shit even more.
I will say this does make me curious as to whether or not this is one of the reasons why they moved the release date for The Flash again. Like I do wonder, like they pushed it for next year, and I wonder if it was a case of, we need to get this movie as far away from as recent as possible, so that in case we do need to make changes, we could go back and do so if we need to, or hoping that in time, this all kind of maybe subdues and dies away, and then by the time the movie comes out, we can all kind of celebrate it, sort of thing. It is one of those things, Stuart, that does make me worried and concerned. Could this really hurt us getting the opportunity to even see the Flash, right? Like, will they release it? Will they not release it if it gets worse than this and have to do the film all over? I don't even want to think about it, honestly. Like, I just know the movie is completed, and now we're stuck having to wait a whole entire year for this. But you're right. I think Ezra certainly does need to go ahead and get him some help. Alcohol is definitely a serious issue for sure. But I have no idea what's been going on with this man. But it's pretty sad to see, honestly. What about you, Indy? What are you thinking in regards to what Ezra Miller has been acting up and doing lately?
First up, shouts out to Gabriel, because I feel the exact same way, and we know how I felt about this for the longest, right? There's a person who never gets in trouble. That's Hollywood's sweetheart. Man, just bring in Grant Gustin as reshoot the movie. That's literally all you got to do. You know what I'm saying? That people love him, and he doesn't do anything to get in trouble. But now, this is where I feel like fellow stars who have been through things, if you see somebody going through something, should reach out. Like, whether it's like a Robert Downey Jr. or, you know what I'm saying, Tom Hanks, you know what I'm saying, different people who have had issues before, reach out and help, you know what I'm saying, somebody help them through this. But this also makes me feel some type of way, just because, like Stuart said, with the Ray Fisher situation, but also with the current Will Smith situation that's going on. You know what I'm saying? Because it just feels like people get better treatment than other people when it comes to these types of situations. Anybody else would have probably been recast and the movie would have been canceled, you know what I'm saying, by now. So I'm curious to see how all this is going to shake out in the end before I make judgment on what happens. But for Ezra, it's not looking good. It's not looking good at all, and it shouldn't, because you should be held responsible for your actions. So you know what I'm saying? Grant Gustin for movie Flash, die Iris die, and move on to what's next.
Yeah, man. I mean, you're absolutely right, though, in regards to like the treatment. It is startling just to kind of see how certain actors are definitely handled differently when it comes to Hollywood. I do think not just Hollywood, but also just the idea of Warner Brothers themselves, in regards to how they truly do try and just sweep things under the rug, if you will. So it does feel very much like somebody's out here trying to protect Ezra in regards to it. I mean, some people will say, "Oh, but these are just small, minor offenses." Well, yeah, when you've got all these small, minor offenses continuing to build and build and build, I do think eventually there definitely needs to be some accountability and some actions against him in regards to all the terrible shit that he's been getting into lately. So again, it does make me worry in regards to whether or not this Flash movie gets to see the light of day. Are they going to go back to the drawing board, or is this a way for Warner Brothers to distance itself before the movie winds up coming out, and hopefully everything going on with Ezra will be hopefully subdue. But we'll see, man. I think it's pretty terrible that all this shit is happening out here in the world that we have right now. But it's Hollywood. It's Hollywood, unfortunately. But guys, look, we want to know your thoughts. Do you think Ezra should be recast as the Flash? Should the movie be reshot completely? Do you think he certainly needs some help? Definitely go ahead and let your thoughts be known in the live chat or the comment section box below. But I do agree with you, Indy. I do think that some of his fellow actors should certainly reach out to him and see if there's something they can do to kind of help his situation he finds himself in. Going back to the television show. But yeah, guys, go ahead and let us know your thoughts in the live chat or the comment section box below. And with that, guys, we will go ahead and stick around in the world of DC as we continue to get further development when it comes to the Blue Beetle movie. One of the things that I've really enjoyed over the past couple of weeks is the momentum swing when it comes to Blue Beetle. We've been having a lot of casting announcements as the family, it feels very much like, of Jaime Reyes has in fact been filled. I believe even George Lopez, I think, might in fact be attached to the Blue Beetle movie as well. I've been really impressed with just some of the supporting cast that this movie is surrounding itself with. But it continues to get a lot of talk and a lot of news. And so this past week, while we've gotten not only the main hero cast, his supporting cast already brought into, this is our first time that we're getting the opportunity to see who the potential villain for this movie could certainly bring. So casting continues, guys, as this week it was in fact announced that a legend herself, good old Sharon Stone, who I feel like I haven't seen in a minute. Good old Sharon Stone is currently in discussions and in talks to join the Blue Beetle movie as the villain. Get this, though, as Victoria Cord. I do find this rather
What?
interesting here. Yeah, as we get introduced to a Cord, maybe not the Cord that we thought we would get the opportunity to see, but it's coming nonetheless. This is from TheWrap.com. Sharon Stone in early talks to play the villain Victoria Cord in DC's Blue Beetle. This is an exclusive report. It does say Academy Award nominee and Golden Globe and Emmy winning actress Sharon Stone is in early talks to play the villain Victoria Cord in Blue Beetle, DC Films' first superhero movie starring a Latino character. It says The Wrap has exclusively learned Victoria Cord is a new character for the created movie. It does say, additionally, Raul Max Trujillo will play Carapax, the indestructible man. It does say that Cobra Kai breakout Jolo Maraduena is set to star in the lead role as Jaime Reyes in Blue Beetle as well. And it does say that Blue Beetle is set to release theatrically next August 2023. So yeah, this looks like this is a brand new character. Victoria Cord. I know a lot of us have been certainly hoping for, in some way, shape, or form, for a Ted Cord to go ahead and pop up in here. So I am kind of curious as to how Sharon Stone could possibly be utilized as Victoria Cord in here. Let me throw this over to you first, Indy. You hearing this news as the Blue Beetle finds its villain, Victoria Cord, and again, it even mentions the idea of a Carapax, the indestructible man. What do you think about these two villains, specifically the idea of creating a new character for this movie?
I feel like I'm scared, to be totally honest with you, because I don't know where they're. I'm intrigued because it seems like they're going somewhere new, but I'm scared because I feel like they're doing too much for a story that already is developed that could tell itself, especially a story that people aren't familiar with, so it's going to be new to most of the masses. So I'm curious in seeing what they're going to do, but now I'm worried because I feel like this movie just writes and sells itself. It's, to me, it's like a more efficient Guyver, you know what I'm saying, style movie, because I really feel like the Guyver has something to do with influence of Blue Beetle. So the Sharon Stone playing the role, I know she's going to knock it out the park because there's nothing Sharon Stone does that is bad. She's amazing. If you don't know who Sharon Stone is, Google her and watch everything she's ever been in, and you would not be disappointed. But it makes me a little bit worried about the lengths they're going to try to develop a story around this character, and I'm starting to worry that they're going to change too much. They're gonna make it too new, and it's going to make me disattach myself from the character itself.
You know, I do want to ask you a question. I don't know if how familiar you are with Blue Beetle's origin story or his comics or animated stuff. Is there a character in his origin or an early story that maybe Victoria Cord could replace or take the position of?
Ted Cord? I don't
No. What?
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. What I was gonna say is I think what they're doing with her is because like in the comics, when we first get him as the Blue Beetle, he takes over the role as the Blue Beetle because Ted Cord gets murdered during the events of Crisis on Infinite Earths. And in that, though, he was killed by the what did they call themselves? They didn't call themselves the Legion of Doom anymore. They called themselves I want to say the Injustice League, maybe. I could be wrong, but basically he gets. Yeah, okay, it was the Injustice League. Yeah, he gets killed by basically a bunch of supervillains teaming up. And obviously, if you're doing like a solo superhero movie, you don't want to like have that kind of a thing be in that movie because you want it to be a lot more smaller scale to fit that one superhero's origin. So I think Sharon Stone is going to be, or sorry, I think what's her name again in this
Yeah,
movie?
you got it.
Victoria,
Victoria.
yeah, Victoria Cord. I think she's gonna the story is gonna be that she murdered her husband, Ted Cord.
I would totally be down for that. I think that's a pretty good swerve there for sure. If there is a Cord in here, I got to think that Ted Cord's name will probably eventually pop up at some point in time. Indy, are you playing something right now?
Kids were calling me. My phone I had to mute it. My
Oh,
phone was ringing.
I was like, oh, I didn't know there was a phone ring.
Yeah.
I will say, I gotta assume that if there is a Victoria Cord in here, that Ted Cord's name will kind of get brought up. I do wonder if maybe Ted Cord kind of created this technology for Blue Beetle. And then maybe something happened to him, and maybe now Victoria Cord's got a vendetta against the new Blue Beetle because maybe he got his hands on the technology that used to belong to Ted Cord. I have no idea, but I kind of like your hypothesis there, Stuart, in regards to maybe she's the one that actually killed her husband. She doesn't look like she's going to be the only villain in here, but maybe she's kind of helping pull the strings for the overarching story in here. But I agree with Indy. I think Sharon Stone's an incredible actress. So just having her attached to this, I think, is a really solid role for her to go ahead and be a part of. And I really enjoy the way that this is fleshing itself out. It's really coming together relatively well, and I can't wait for this movie to be in front of the cameras if it already isn't. But I'm excited for it, man. I think we got a pretty good one on our hands.
Yeah, and Sharon Stone was F-inch hot in the original Total Recall.
Oh yeah, shout out to Gabriel for his comment for sure. Go ahead.
Hopefully she'll be able to redeem herself from the last time she played a DC villain in a movie.
What did she play?
Catwoman. She was the villain in Catwoman.
Oh, really? The Halle Berry one?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, definitely give her a chance to redeem herself from that.
I still haven't watched that movie.
You don't need to watch it.
I haven't. Yeah, I think I watched like the first 15, 20 minutes of it, and that's about it. But I didn't know she was even in that movie, so that's good to know. Yeah, this will definitely be a redemption story for her. I kind of dig the liberties that they are certainly taking. I would probably agree with you, Indy, that maybe this story certainly does write itself. But I think I am fascinated as to why we're not getting a Ted Cord in here, but maybe it's all for a very good reason once we actually see how this movie unfolds. We got a brand new character in Victoria Cord. Let's see how it plays out. But what do you guys think? Are you excited for Sharon Stone to be attached to a DCEU film? Does this feel right to you in regards to the connection to having her a part of the Blue Beetle movie? Go ahead and let your thoughts be known in the live chat or the comment section box below, guys.
Something funny I gotta point out too is like they mentioned the indestructible man being in this, and that means that's like 3 different current like DC properties that he's in, because we had a version of him in Legends of Tomorrow, we have a version of him now in Naomi, and now we're gonna have another one in Blue Beetle.
Naomi, there's an indestructible man in Naomi?
Yeah, well, currently he just goes by General Steel, but like he is currently in Naomi.
Oh, that's right. Okay. That's who that is, Commander Steel?
Yeah, I believe so.
Oh, okay. All right.
Because like I was Googling the Indestructible Man DC, and the first thing that comes up was Commander Steel. So I assume that's who they're talking about.
Very nice, man. Indestructible Man definitely getting his shine on DC in some way or another. All right, guys, we're gonna go ahead and transition over to some TV and movie news for you guys. As I'm actually kind of really excited to talk about this real quick, because I was actually a big fan of the first 2 films that we wind up getting. Did you guys get the opportunity to see the It movies, the first and second ones? If so, which ones did you like the best?
The originals.
Oh, you didn't like the remakes that we wind up getting?
I was just joking. I wanted to be the old guy who likes nothing being remade. I really like this. I don't think a lot of people agree with me, but I thought the second movie was actually done well. From a visual standpoint compared to like the original. I think they tell the lore of you know what I'm saying, everything a little bit better in the remakes than they do the original. It just feels like a little bit more is explained. I think that's why I'm happy for what you're getting ready to introduce is happening, because I really want to know about how this all came across, because that's the most interesting things about what happened. Just like these other horror movies we watch, when they decide to do the story of how the curses or something came to be, at times it's more interesting than, oh my god, this thing's here and it's going to kill me, when you learn everything that happened in order to create, you know what I'm saying, what's going on. When you found out how Freddy was created, or what happened, it made that man that much more terrifying, to know the type of person he was. And so I'm looking forward to seeing what's going to happen with this.
Yeah, it looks as though the world of it, that particular property, is getting ready to go ahead and expand a little bit more, as they're going to be taking full advantage of the success of the two-part film that we wind up getting over the past couple of years, as it seems as though a TV series prequel is in the works currently for the upcoming It series. Let's go ahead and dive into this news a little bit here. I would agree. While I enjoyed the first, while I enjoyed the two movies, for me personally, I was a bigger fan of the very first It film that we wind up getting, as far as the reboot one goes. But the one thing that I loved about both these two films together, similar to what Indy was talking about, was how expansive it really made it in regards to its lore and its history, kind of giving us some insight in regards to Pennywise's life. And it seems as though we're going to be diving into that a little bit further. This is from Variety.com, letting us know that a It prequel series is currently in the works at HBO Max. It says a prequel to It is in development. The series, currently called Welcome to Derry, will begin in the 1960s, in the time leading up to the events of It Part 1, the 2017 film based on the Stephen King's horror novel. The story is also said to include the origin story of Pennywise the Clown. Andy Muschietti, who directed the first two parts, is attached to executive produce the series, along with Barbara Muschietti and Jason Fuchs. According to sources, the Muschiettis and Fuchs developed the story for the show, with Fuchs writing the script. Andy would also direct the first episode. Should the project go to series, a writer's room is now open. Warner Brothers is the studio behind the project, with WB having produced the first two films. Should the project go forward, it would be the latest example of HBO Max building a series component into an existing WB film franchise. So yeah, guys, it looks as though this is certainly headed our way. And I will be honest with you. First off, I love the title "Welcome to Derry." I think that fits extremely well for it. But I think the idea of getting Andy Muschietti back for this, in regards to the role of executive producer, really works. The fact that him and Jason Fuchs actually put together the story for this, I think is an even better look, if you ask me. I think the fact that they were able to create those two movies together to a very big success, if you ask me, makes me feel like Warner Brothers certainly trusts him. I think Andy Muschietti also being attached to The Flash, and also being attached to this, hopefully this is Warner Brothers showcasing their confidence in whatever Andy Muschietti kind of touches or puts his mind to, if you will. But I do think that if you were a big fan of the movies I think that this will probably feel very much the same, or at least have certainly that same tone and vibe to it. So this kind of gives me confidence that we have the same people from the movies very much attached to the series. And again, I think with them opening the lore from the first two movies, kind of teasing us a little bit about the past of Pennywise, I think there's plenty of story to certainly be told. And I'm kind of fascinated in this being a period piece, kind of taking place in the 70s and maybe filling in some of that blank for us. So I think there's plenty of story here to be told. And I feel pretty confident with the two people attached to bringing this to life. But what do you think, Stuart? I'll go ahead and throw this over to you. Are you excited for It prequel? I'm assuming, if anything, Bill Skarsgard will not be attached to this unless they give us brief sort of current shots of him as Pennywise. But I would be curious to see who is casted in here. But what are your thoughts? Is this something that you are fascinated in seeing, wanting to see, or don't really care so much about?
Going to be honest, currently I don't really have any anticipation for this, but I definitely will probably check out at least the first episode when it comes out. But if they don't bring back Bill Skarsgard, I probably won't have any interest in this. Not gonna lie, because I think he was what really made the It movies. Like, not that the other actors didn't do a great job, but I think that if the kids didn't have something like scary to react to, the first It movie wouldn't have been anywhere near as good as it was. And I feel like Bill Skarsgård was so perfectly terrifying as Pennywise the clown that whenever you see like the kids being terrified of him, you're like, yeah, if I was a kid living in this town, I'd be freaking terrified too. And I think his overall dynamic with with like everyone that he worked with in the first movie was so perfect. I wouldn't want to see that go away. But that said, I'll still probably check out the first episode, even if he's not in it, just to see how it is. My only big worry about this series is that I feel like the movies that we got really like delve into the full lore of Pennywise. Like, I don't think there's really that many questions I have about his origins or anything that the movie hasn't already answered. So I feel like the most you can get out of it is kind of just a good horror series where that all the characters are going to die at the end because they don't get referenced in the sequels.
I mean, yeah, I guess that is the downside to it, of the sense of we kind of know where the story leads already, but I still think that they can finally probably mine some stuff that we haven't had explained to us in the movies. But maybe I'm wrong. I'm kind of curious to know what you think, Indy, if you think that there's any stories certainly left to be told after what we've been revealed for in the movies. I think for me, if there's one thing that I'm really going to be looking forward to, while I agree, I definitely would like to see Bill Skarsgård in here in some capacity, I'm actually more fascinated to kind of see what creepy little kid can they find out there in Hollywood that can represent a young sort of Pennywise and give us just as much of a creep factor as Bill Skarsgård certainly can. I do think that should be pretty interesting to see. But what are your thoughts in regards to this, Indy?
Go get that role, Jaden Smith. No, I'm playing. Yeah, I think there's a lot of lore and a lot of story that can be told on Pennywise before, what I'm saying, we come into current, because this is a curse that has been there for, what I'm saying, a long time. And it'd be me just interesting how kids dealt with it when they didn't have what they had then.
Good point.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm curious in seeing, when they were in the yo-yos and different stuff like that, and throwing sticks, see how far they could throw a stick, how they would combat, the evilness of Pennywise. I would even be interested in seeing how kids with cell phones and tablets, what I'm saying, would deal with Pennywise. So I just want to know, I want to know where this is from, when it's created. Because I'm gonna tell you one thing, I'm arachnophobic. So one of the most horrifying things to me is the reveal of like the spider-like creature. You know what I'm saying? Like he was. I'm 39 years old and I still can't watch Arachnophobia. So I just want to see where this comes from, how it started, and if they can make a compelling story that doesn't contradict the lore that we already have.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. I would love to see, especially during the time period that this certainly might be set, is there a new group of kids that we're introduced to that have to deal with this sort of situation when it comes to Pennywise also. So I do think we got a lot of really interesting ideas and concepts that they can really mine for a prequel series when it comes to it. Maybe the way that he was treated certainly as a kid could certainly play into it. What you got, Indy? What you thinking?
What if Pennywise is from the upside down and we get a Stranger Things
crossover? That's the true final season for Stranger Things,
crossover
right?
cell. Why not?
Yeah, like he's the real reason that the upside down exists.
That'd be pretty creepy, but we'll see what happens here in regards to this It prequel series. Is this something that you guys are fascinated in? Did you enjoy certainly the 2 movies that we wind up getting recently? And knowing that those people are in fact attached with Jason Fuchs and Andy Muschietti, does this give you any more confidence in the prequel series? And do you think there's even stories certainly left to be told? Definitely go ahead and let your thoughts be known in the live chat or the comment section box below after this particular video airs, and we'll definitely continue our discussion from some of these topics throughout the rest of the week for you guys.
I'm very disappointed you didn't mispronounce his name the same way I did last week.
Jason Fuchs. Good old Jason Fuchs is writing the It prequel series.
It's like, you guys ever watch Angry Video Game Nerd?
Yeah.
There's an ongoing gag in his show where like he would just mention someone named Fred Fuchs because of like this typing video game. And what was so funny is like I think a couple of years ago he finally paid off that joke by having him as a character played by Gilbert Godfrey.
Oh no. I love it. Shout out to Intel the Brain for certainly coming through. Thank you very much, man, for gracing us with your presence today. We got a couple people actually in the live chat with us today.
He
so thank
sounds
you very
smart.
much. We had who else popped up in here? I think Nicole came through for us today, so thank you very, very much. We had Francois. I think we gave a shout out to Gabriel also for certainly coming through here today. So thank you guys for your continued support and checking out the channel. We got 2 last topics that we're going to go ahead and dive into before we get into your guys' live viewer questions. Speaking of It and good old Bill Skarsgard, it kind of makes sense that we just dive right into this next topic, as it seems as though a classic, if you will, a cult classic, might be in the works, currently in development once again. Although, if you ask me, this movie's kind of been in production and development hell for years. Being told it's coming, then a delay, somebody falling off the project, being recast, brought in, then falling off again. The legend continues in the idea of a Crow reboot, ladies and gentlemen. That's right, the Brandon Lee led Crow that unfortunately ended in disaster. I believe there was a second Crow movie as well, but they have been trying to reboot this movie for years. Whether or not this film is cursed, who certainly knows, but I will tell you what, this movie has struggled to get back onto the big screen, and maybe, just maybe, it's picking up some steam. Let's go ahead and dive into this, because while we haven't had any news or development in quite some time, having this gentleman attached to the project, I gotta think in some capacity or another, it might help push it forward, but I'll believe it when I see it. But I thought this was rather interesting for us to dive into, guys. But it seems as though Bill Skarsgard from his It fame, maybe even Castle Rock fame, is in fact set to go ahead and star in the Crow reboot. It also has Rupert Sanders directing. This is an exclusive from The Hollywood Reporter. It says, after years of stop and go, the new iteration of the 1994 supernatural actioner is on the runway, and production is slated to begin in June. So, I mean, we're talking about just a couple of months out. After years of false starts and many rings of development hell, the Crow appears ready to fly again. Bill Skarsgard, who played Pennywise the Clown in the It horror movies, will star in the reboot of the supernatural revenge thriller that will be directed by Rupert Sanders, best known for helming Snow White and the Huntsman and Ghost in the Shell. Longtime Crow steward Edward Pressman and Michael Gray, a co-producer on Chadwick Boseman's 21 Bridges, will also be producing as well. It says Crow was an indie comic that told the dark tale of a man and his fiance who were assaulted and killed by a gang after the couple's car breaks down. The man is resurrected by a crow and enacts revenge on those who took his life and the life of his love. It says Skarsgard will play Eric Draven, the man on the revenge mission. Zach Balin, who is coming off an Oscar nomination for penning King Richard wrote the script. So the gentleman that penned the King Richard movie that was just nominated wrote the script for this movie also. The project is well into pre-production ahead of a June start date, with shooting taking place in Prague and Munich. The budget is in the $50 million range, which I think is actually a pretty good budget if you ask me. And it does appear like the film will actually take flight. But it does say fans of The Crow, however, have plenty of reasons to be skeptical. So let's see here, man. It looks as though Bill Skarsgard set to go ahead and play the main role. The Oscar-nominated writer for King Richard is set to go ahead and pen the script, even though, you know, maybe some people might be worried in regards to the director who helmed Snow White and the Huntsman and Ghost in the Shell. But it seems as though with production ready to go ahead and begin in June, maybe with these announcements coming out, maybe they feel pretty confident that this will actually happen. Indy, let me go ahead and throw this over to you first. One, do you think this movie will happen? And two, with all the people that we have now attached, any confidence level in regards to this movie, or what are you thinking about just the Crow movie in general?
If anybody was going to play this role, I think they picked the perfect person to cast, you know what I'm saying, to star in the reboot. I don't know about anybody else. This movie means a lot to me. Like, The Crow was something that, to me, changed my view of movies and heroes and stuff like that, especially with my love for wrestling. And of course, we know the adaptation that the icon Sting took during the war against the NWO, with him being a huge fan of the movie and adopting that and probably pushing it to popularity bigger than what it was going to be on its own for him taking on that character, you know what I'm saying, in wrestling. So the people who are going to script it, I feel, are perfect. The casting they did so far, I feel, is perfect. So in a perfect world, this movie would get done. And I believe now with the visual effects and everything that we have this day, that this is an Academy Award, you know what I'm saying, type of comic book movie that we've been waiting on to, you know what I'm saying, break that curse of those type of movies not being able to win the big one.
I like what you put out there. The fact that The Crow very much, especially back in even 1994, was rather unique in and of itself. The idea of it really being a dark comic book movie, the idea of seeing what they were able to do in regards to really fleshing it out to be its own sort of unique film, and not so much in that comic book sort of genre. And now you tell me you bring somebody in that was just Oscar nominated, that did a script for King Richard, really could elevate sort of that source material to really branch out from that that cliche comic book movie and really be more of a cinematic sort of feel, really tapping into something relatively dark and universal theme, if anything. So I would agree with you there that we could be onto something special here when it comes to The Crow. But let me throw this over to you too, Stuart. What do you think in regards to Bill Skarsgård? Do you agree with Indy? Do you think that he's a really great choice for this particular role? And what's your confidence level in this being made and with the people attached?
In terms of who's writing it, awesome. In terms of Bill Skarsgård, awesome. As I was just like mentioning from our previous topic, I'm not too hyped about the director, just because he's the kind of director that you bring in when you have a project that you don't necessarily have a lot of confidence in. What I mean is, like, you look at the Snow White movies and then Ghost in the Shell, they really feel like movies that the studio wasn't super invested in. They wanted to get like a profit, and that was it. They didn't really care whether or not it made a huge profit, as long as it did better than breaking even. That's the type of effort that you get when you watch those movies. And finding out that this guy's going to be directing The Crow, that's the one thing that's getting me kind of worried currently. But like everything else this movie has going for it, with again, Bill Skarsgård, and then of course the writer that they got for it, that gets me a little bit of hope. And so I really hope this director, kind of goes about this project a lot differently than he's gone about his previous projects.
Yeah, I definitely will agree with you. I think if there is a worry or level of concern, it might be the director. I haven't checked out Snowman, Snow White and the Huntsman. Man, that would be a great movie, The Snowman. I haven't watched Snow White and the Huntsman or the Ghost in the Shell movie. I am kind of curious though, if based off of his maybe Ghost in the Shell, maybe he can bring a darker tone to it. I don't know. I'll have to check out the movies that he's done to see if he can bring a little bit of an edge. But I will agree, man, when it comes to Bill Skarsgård as the Crow, I think, unless you're Robert Pattinson, I don't know if anybody else can emote brooding or just like that, just that dark tone as well as Bill Skarsgård can. Just seeing what he's been able to do, not only in It, but even Castle Rock, he definitely does bring sort of that dark side that you certainly need. So I do think that if there's anybody that can bring that character to life, this is a really, really great choice, I personally think. I do think the script will certainly be there, but yeah, my worry probably, if anything, is in the director. But I'm hoping that the script is certainly strong enough that we don't necessarily need to ask too much from the director. That the script and Bill Skarsgård's performance can hopefully really carry this movie. But this is a movie that I think has been way long overdue. I'm really hoping that this turns out to be a very great sort of tribute to Brandon Lee and what he certainly brought to the role, and a great hopeful remembrance for him. And I'm really excited to hopefully see this movie elevate itself even higher than its comic book and graphic novel sort of status, if you will. So I'm kind of looking forward to this. This is something that I've wanted to see actually happen for a while. Marcelino does say, never seen the Brandon Lee Crow, plan on eventually, but casting Bill Skarsgård is 10 red horror balloons out of 10. Yeah, and, I think, I don't think you can go wrong with him. Intel says, I feel that was a smart move casting him. He's a pretty good fit. Yeah, and we all definitely agree with that. I think if there is anybody that can fit this role well, if you follow Bill Skarsgård's career, I mean, it almost feels like, why didn't I think of that in regards to casting? So I think when you've got a name like him attached, an Oscar nominated script, this is probably as confident as I felt as ever that this movie will kind of get off the ground. And I think the fact that they plan on trying to start production in 2 months and they've started revealing this stuff to us makes us feel like, hey, production's probably in a really good place as of right now. We probably feel good enough to start announcing some news that, hey, this is actually happening. So do you guys think that this will see the light of day?
Let me put it this way. I'm not a very superstitious person. I don't usually believe in the supernatural. That said, if I was a director and I was offered to direct The Crow, I would turn that shit down, because the fact that The Crow won and then its sequels have all had like really weird production issues, and then it seems like it's going on again with this movie. Like, if there was any movie that actually had a real curse to it, I would assume The Crow is that not just that movie, but that franchise, just because, yeah, like obviously we all know like the really tragic one that happened during the first movie, but there was just so much more on top of it that of course kind of gets, not mentioned. And then same with the sequels again. So it's just like, if it happens, awesome. But if it gets canceled again, I'm not going to be surprised.
I can understand that. You gonna say something, Indy?
Just don't have guns on the set, because we've seen what happens when guns are on the set. Figure out some other way to do it. Fake guns, you know what I'm saying? No live ammo, just add everything in post-production. You have enough of a budget to do that, and everything should be good. But please guard Bill Skarsgård with your life. It's been too many incidents, as Stewart has said, on the set of The Crow, and I don't want to see what happens. I don't want to see anything negative happen, because to be totally honest with you, this is a great character, this is a great story, and I want it to be done right. And I feel like the people that they have attached to it are going to do it right.
Yeah, I think that they will also too. I'm really hoping so. Yeah, we've had a lot of grief, unfortunately, in Hollywood the past year, especially with the recent shooting that they just had on the set too. So definitely guard everybody. Usai says the Crow could be cool to pull off. He says the Batman, I think, hit that tone perfectly. Yeah, I definitely agree with you, Usai.
if they go with that tone for this remake of The Crow, I am 110% down.
Yeah, I definitely would be as well. Let us know your guys' thoughts in regards to it. Datilla says Sting drew inspiration for his face paint from The Crow. Yeah, that's what Indy wind up saying. And I would agree with you, Indy, too, in the sense that he helped keep The Crow's name alive, or at least in pop culture, I think, just based off of the appearance that he had on a week-to-week basis. It's the only connection that I ever saw him to. You know what I'm saying? Like when I saw this thing, it was just like, oh, he's The Crow. Easy. Boom. I love it. Definitely. All right. Marcelino on a side note says, speaking of horror superheroes, where's the Jamie Foxx Spawn movie? It's still in development. I think Todd McFarlane still plans on putting it out. But as of right now, I don't know if anybody's picked it up yet.
Yeah, he's another person where if they don't do that too soon, he might be too old to do the movie.
Yeah, I am. We'll see what happens with Todd McFarlane. But as of right now, it does feel like it is still green lit. I think as of right now, he's still shopping it around. Perhaps I don't know if anybody's picked it up, but what's interesting to me is that when it comes to Todd McFarlane, he very much wants to be in control of it, which I understand. Spawn's his baby, but he wants to direct it, and I don't know if he is open to anybody else directing it. And I wonder if studios are hesitant for him to be able to do it and would rather have somebody else maybe direct it, because it would be Todd McFarlane's directorial debut. Again, I know it's his baby, but I feel like maybe he should put his baby in somebody else's hands. But I could be wrong.
Let him co-direct. If he wants to direct, maybe do the co-direct thing, get somebody a little bit more experience. Or if you want to bring somebody in that's less experienced but has more experience with you, that where your name rings louder than theirs, you know what I'm saying? That can help a lot too. But I understand how he feels. But come on, man, that movie right there, that's one of them where, like you said, what we was talking about, The Crow, because of the myth behind what happened, you know what I'm saying, on the sets and the pop culture reference that it has, is which keeps that name alive. In a minute, nobody's gonna be checking for Spawn. The Spawn pops up like every 5 years in a video game or something, or maybe a good comic story pops out, but Spawn doesn't have the relevant name of what a Crow has, so you should just probably let somebody direct the movie so you can get it out, bro.
Yeah.
I hope so. We'll see. But guys, let us know your thoughts. Bill Skarsgard attached to go ahead and play the role of the Crow. The movie is set to begin production in June. This franchise and property has had its ups and downs when it comes to getting ready to film and then not being in production. Do you guys think this is the time that it will actually happen? Let us know your thoughts in regards to this Crow reboot in the live chat or the comment section box below. And with that, guys, we will go ahead and dive into our last topic. He says, hey, what, Indy's kids plan on invading the live stream again? Do it, Indy's kids. Do it.
Marcelina's going to make me cry. My kids are in Iowa. I'm in Wisconsin. So
that's why. So, yeah, probably no cameos anytime soon.
No cameos anytime soon. Maybe twice a month.
I mean, hey, we'll take the twice a month. We'll take the twice a month, man. But let's go ahead and dive into our very last topic here. One that should be relatively fun to kind of talk about, because I got a kick out of reading this article myself. As we're going to be diving back into a world of Transformers, ladies and gentlemen. As honestly, Hasbro seems to have Hasbro and Paramount seem to have a lot of big things in store for the Transformers property. After the Michael Bay films, we wind up getting ourselves Bumblebee, which was a nice refresher course for us. And it seems as though we have a couple of upcoming Transformers movies to certainly enjoy, as I believe Rise of the Beast either drops later on this year or next year. I can't remember off the top of my head. But we are planning on getting more Transformers movies. But it was pretty interesting for me this week when I ran across an article speaking to good old Michael Bay, as a lot of us who were quite fond of his time in Transformers, maybe some of us wanted him to stay away from the franchise as much as possible. But with time having passed over the years of what Michael Bay was able to do with Transformers, I did find it interesting that this article kind of highlights Michael Bay's thoughts on his own time on the Transformers franchise. And I actually found it quite eye-opening and a little bit hilarious all at the same time to kind of see his take on his run on the Transformers franchise. So I wanted to go ahead and bring that up with you guys and really pick your brains to kind of see what Michael Bay is certainly referencing. No, he doesn't have plans on certainly returning, but it seems as though Michael Bay thinks he probably should have stopped while he was ahead. Let's go ahead and dive into this. Michael Bay says he should have stopped making Transformers movies. This is from the Unilad. I think this is a UK website. It says Bay is a true American auteur. His films are emblazoned with the stars and stripes they often herald, or at least nod to, the work of law enforcement and the military, and they're absolutely chock full of explosions. Love him or loathe him, he's a bona fide box office monster, whether he's blasting Bruce Willis and his team of miners into space in Armageddon, which I love that movie, or staging an anthology of war between the Autobots and the Decepticons with the Transformers franchise. He does have a new movie out actually called Ambulance, if you guys have not had the opportunity to check it out. It says, to mark the movie's UK release today, I sat down with Michael Bay to chat about Ambulance and his reflection on the Transformers movies, especially given the first film is approaching its 15th anniversary. So looking back, he said, the first one was scary. It was technology we didn't know would work, and it then became very successful. It was the first time digital effects were that highly reflective, so it broke a lot of new ground. It was a fun experience. It made more than $700 million. That's a lot of movie tickets, and a lot of people have to have seen it. He says, I saw Transformers as a part of a double build with the Simpsons movie back in 2007. It was one of the greatest days of my life. It says, this would be my downfall. Overall, Bay's directorial contributions to the Transformers franchise has grossed well over $4.5 billion. It does say, in spite of the billow-busting takings, even Bay believes he should have called it a day. He said, I've made too many of them. Steven Spielberg said, just stop at 3, and I said I'd stop. The studio begged me to do a 4th, and then that made $1 billion too. And then I said, I'm going to stop here, and they begged me again. I should have stopped. They were fun to do, though. That's not to say Bay didn't give each sequel his all. He does say, I'm passionate about any movie I do, from Pain and Gain to 13 Hours. I like going from big to small. You want to move off the same thing. It was cool to do this, a kind of grittier, tougher action movie, a little more hardcore. I got some great performances. I'm excited. So yeah, he references the idea that he even recognizes that he did maybe a little bit too much. Should have taken the advice of Steven Spielberg to stop at 3, but we're quickly coming to see here that when your Transformers movies does buku money at the box office, it looks as though Warner Brothers begged him to do at least 2 additional more. He did. And we see the end results of those films. So let me throw this over to you first, Stuart. You hear this coming from Michael Bay that he believes even he should have stopped making these movies, even though he admits he did put his all into them. What are your thoughts in regards to what he had to say here?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I can't really blame him too much when you have a studio that's begging you to make these billion-dollar movies, and you know that you're going to be making a crap ton of movies or you're going to be making a crap ton of money from those movies afterwards. It makes sense that, you know, you would want to go along with that, not just for the money, but also because usually the big reason directors tend to direct movies that they may not have the same passion for as other films is because that's how they get to direct those other films. I think like the only reason he was able to do, you know, a movie like Pain and Gain was because he already made the studio a crap ton of money from the Transformers movies. Because if you look at, you know, the plot to Pain and Gain, it doesn't really feel like the type of movie a studio would really pick up on. But if you get, you know, a guy who made you $1 billion and then they pitch you the movie Pain and Gain, you're going to be like, okay, yeah, you know what? I'll give this a shot. Why not? You know, here's $50 million. So yeah, it does make a lot of sense that, you know, he wanted to stop after the third one, but of course, you know, money talks, and of course, you know, the studio was just like, no, we can't let you go, we need this money. As for what he said, like giving it his all, like I can kind of see it with the fourth one, even though I'm not a big fan of the fourth one at all. Like I do see that there was definitely effort on his part. The fifth one, though, I disagree with him when he says he put effort into that, because just the way it was filmed, to me, kind of comes off as extremely lazy, even compared to the other Transformers movie. I mean, the fact that they use multiple cameras, like for different scenes, and then not to mention the fact that those multiple cameras, like, he didn't even bother to make sure they had the same settings, so the aspect ratio would keep changing. I don't think he actually put any effort into the fifth one. Oh, you're muted.
Yeah, I am kind of curious. If anything, yeah, he definitely probably should have taken Steven Spielberg's advice. But you know, for some reason, I don't know why this feels very, when I think of like trying to make another comparison as to where I feel like this has happened, I think of the Lost television series for some reason. The idea that productions wanting you to make more movies when you either don't have the material or you don't have the passion to really do it so much anymore. The fact that that can really lead to very watered down content, you know, trying to make something that was successful stretch out longer than it needs to, right? Like I think Lost mentioned the fact that they had maybe five or like 4 seasons that they had written out, like they had a plan in mind, but the series itself was so huge that ABC kept coming to J.J. Abrams and Damon Lindelof saying, we need more seasons. I think they wanted like 10 seasons overall, right? So they had to keep like expanding, and really stretching it out. And you wind up getting very watered down content to a certain extent before you can wrap things up. And I feel like that's very much what happened here in the Transformers set. Maybe we had our trilogy sort of set. You want to keep bringing back Michael Bay. He's like, all right, for all that money, why not? I'll do whatever you certainly need to do. But clearly that motivation, while he certainly says he puts everything behind it, you can definitely tell it certainly got very much watered down as the franchise continued. So I'm kind of glad that they eventually departed ways, and Paramount realizing that a change certainly needed to come. But yeah, you can definitely see the water effect definitely happening here. But what do you think, Indy, in regards to this? The idea of him saying the studios wanted him to do more. He personally should have stopped at 3, despite the fact that he enjoyed making the films he did.
He shouldn't have made the first one because Michael Bay ruined my childhood. The only Transformers movie that should exist was the 80s animated version. So I don't know what he's talking about. I'm glad he stopped.
Whoa, you didn't like Bumblebee?
No, I wasn't a fan of Bumblebee. I was a fan of the acting. I don't think I'm just a fan of the storylines of them trying to update the storylines and make them like that. It was a futuristic robot soap opera in space. You know what I'm saying? And them coming to Earth. Like Transformers meant something different to me. And I really feel like they did in any movie, they didn't give it the just due of what it was supposed to be. The lore for Cybertron was wrong. The War for Cybertron animated series tried, the one that was on Netflix, but that even was weird because it was very boring. It's just something I feel that was meant just to sell toys. As most movies and stuff that own properties like that, you talk about it all the time about Power Rangers. In the end of the day, they want them to sell toys. They want them to sell merchandise to kids so they can make money. So I understand it. But when it comes to movies like this, it's really not the kids that want to see it. It's the parents who remember this stuff that want to take their kids to the movies to connect to some type of their childhood so they can have that connection and, you know what I'm saying, that type of conversation and stuff like that. And I really just feel like they missed the ball with these movies. Especially Megatron. I know you can't make Megatron a friggin' 357 Magnum in the movies and have Starscream with him as a weapon, but still, I never connected to him. So whether he made him or not, I watched him because we do stuff like that. Not only here because we review movies and stuff, but we tend to watch anything that connects to our childhood to try to reestablish or, you know what I'm saying, restart that flame that we had, or try to figure out why we like something so much. Like I'm one of them, and I'm still clamoring for a Silverhawks remake. You know, don't know how the hell they would do that. Have naked people running around with silver bodies and wings. Doesn't seem like something that's that interesting, but it's just stuff that we liked in the past that really, to me, doesn't translate too much to what's going on now. Again, I feel like Transformers should be something that's only animated. No disrespect to Mark Wahlberg or our future Lady Hawkeye. Those guys are incredible in what they do, but it's just something I never got into, and my distaste for Michael Bay got even more sour as he continued to make the movies. But I love Pain and Gain.
Yeah, that's a great one. Yeah, that is a great one. Yeah, I don't have a problem with Michael Bay so much as a director as I did just maybe his later visions of Transformers. Like for me personally, I was actually a big fan of the first, or at least the first Transformers movie is definitely one I can continue to watch over and over. The third one, the wrapping up of the trilogy, the big battle of Chicago on the big screen in the movie theaters was intense and just incredible to certainly watch. So I kind of appreciated certain aspects of what Michael Bay was able to do in that. I do appreciate the fact of him being able to, in hindsight, look at his time on Transformers. And while I understand he felt he put the best forward, I do wonder if he also understands maybe some of the criticism that might have come his way in putting this movie together. Like, I wonder if he would validate some of the criticisms that happened with his run on Transformers, despite the fun that he certainly had. But again, I do think it was a great idea for them to certainly move forward from him. But it is cool to at least see Michael Bay have some of these words and hopefully some life lessons that he might have learned from tackling the Transformers franchise. But we'll see what happens in the future. I mean, I've always been hesitant in regards to how Hasbro and Paramount will handle this going forward. We've seen them to try and revitalize the G.I. Joe franchise with Snake Eyes, which just unfortunately just did not do very well. And so I'm hoping that they have a better mindset with trying to do the same for Transformers this time around with Rise of the Beast. I mean, who knows, Indy? You mentioned the idea that you think these movies should be more animated. I do wonder if they'll delve more into special effects and heavy special effects this time around for this particular movie than they have before in the past. I mean, granted, any of these Michael Bay films have been heavy in special effects. I do wonder if that's something that they're trying to kind of go back to once again, just without Michael Bay attached. But we'll see what happens here, man. We'll see.
I feel like.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I feel like somebody watched like the Megazord design from the Power Rangers reboot and said, Transformers made designs like this so it'll look good, or even the Megazord design from the first Power Rangers movie. Like, it's just the stuff is just weird to me. It just didn't look like the one person that always looked right to me in those movies was Bumblebee and Optimus Prime. It just seemed like they just did whatever they wanted to with anybody else. Like, we spent our entire budget on these two characters. Just make the other ones look.
I think whatever. That was like the issue though with like 2007 is that like, yeah, Transformers 1 had some pretty incredible special effects and a really big budget, but I feel like when it came to the robot designs, they had to make a majority of them look very bland and like very sameish. And the only three that they really put effort into, like you said, was Optimus, Bumblebee, and then I think they put some effort into Megatron as well. But yeah, whereas like all the other robots like look way too sameish, and I think unfortunately that just came down to technology not necessarily being ready for what they were trying to do back in 2007. Because I think looking at the newer Transformers movies, at least like the one thing I'll give Transformers 4 and 5 credit for is at least all the robots look very distinct and they look like they have their own thing going for it. Compared to the original Transformers trilogy.
I'm gonna be honest. I think y'all tripping about these Transformers designs, man. I think these were spectacular. I felt like I could visually see each position on their cars or them as robots. Like when they transform, I'm like, oh, that's where that piece goes. I feel like it's a very seamless transformation that, if you ask me, I think these Transformers movies dwarf the 2017 Power Rangers film, honestly, in regards to design. I've always been blown away by the Transformers designs. For me personally, I think that's been like one of the cooler shots to see when they actually do transform compared to what I got in that 2017 Power Rangers movie.
Oh, I wasn't even trying to compare it to the 2017 Power Rangers movie. I was just saying, like, on its own, I just like wasn't a fan of the original designs from the movies, like for the trilogy. And I do think, even though 4 and 5 were so much worse than the first three, I think the one thing they got right about those movies is I think that's when the designs for all the individual Transformers were actually pretty good.
I got you. I got you. So let's see. We'll see what happens here. Michael Bay, farewell to Transformers property. Thanks for your time. Please don't come again. But we appreciate what you have accomplished, and hopefully your ambulance movie does pretty well in the box office.
It actually doesn't look bad.
Yeah, it looks pretty good. I love me some Jake Gyllenhaal and God, I can't remember his name now. The guy who's the other guy in the movie. Jake Gyllenhaal. He was in Aquaman. He played Black Manta. Yahya Mateen Abdul, I believe, the third, if I'm not mistaken. I believe that was his name. I'm trying to remember. He's got such an odd, unique name. I couldn't remember it off the top of my head. But let me know your guys' thoughts in regards to what's your experience with Michael Bay and his Transformers movies. Are you glad he made them? Do you think he should have stopped? When should he have stopped making them? Definitely go ahead and let me know your thoughts in the live chat or the comment section box below. And guys, I believe if anything, that will wrap up all of our main topics today, guys. So some great discussion. Yeah, some great discussion points today. Yeah, we need like a sound mixer, some sound effects.
I'm getting one back. I'm getting one back soon, very soon.
Yeah, Stuart, I think you know what time it is.
It's time for live viewer questions. Questions.
Wow, I made it all the way to the end.
You made it all the way to the end. Congratulations, Indy. We'll give you some extra bonus points for that. We've actually got quite a few. All these questions just kind of came in very last minute. I tell you, man, I think we're going to have a simple live viewer questions going into the show, and then I look up and we got like 10 emails today. So let's go ahead and dive into it, man. We got quite a few. John Schuyler coming through with some questions. Favorite and worst moments from any Avengers film. Favorite and worst moments from any Avenger film. God, Thor versus the Hulk in the first Avengers one was incredible. The group shot from the Avengers 1 also amazing. I mean, any group shot from any of the Avengers movies are fantastic. Avengers 2, probably everybody trying to pick up Mjolnir was pretty funny, or Mew Mew as Darcy calls it. And then of course, I mean, they had some brilliant ones. What are some of your other favorite moments, guys, of Avengers?
I definitely have to go opening Black Widow scene when she's like undercover and sitting in the chair, and they call her.
Yeah. That was a good one.
That was like that when I think of Avengers, especially like the first couple of movies, that always pops up. 'Cause to me, that set a tone. Like that was a great tone setting scene. What happened? I Am Iron Man.
Both moments.
The last moment.
Okay.
The last Iron Man moment, and the one other scene that always gets me is I'm not feeling good, Mr. Stark. You know what I'm saying? I don't feel
my heart hurts already. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. What about you, Stuart? You got any favorite moments from Avengers?
Oh man, I think any group shot, like you guys were saying, but I think especially like kind of the payoff in Endgame. You know, when you kind of think about how this movie had over 10 years of buildup, and then it builds up to that big moment at the very end where finally you get Captain America using those magical words. I think that was just so amazing, just with everything that built up to that moment, and the payoff was perfect.
I'll even add Hulkbuster versus the Hulk and Age of Ultron. That was great too. Any worst moments in the Avengers movies? One off the top of my head. Anything Black Widow and Hulk?
Was
never a really big fan of that storyline.
Sun's getting pretty low.
Yeah, sun's setting pretty low, big guy or whatever. And then he runs off, and I'm good. I'm good with that.
I like that they were trying something new. It didn't work at all. So I think like a lot of things in Age of Ultron didn't work. But yeah, I got to agree with you. That's probably like the number one thing.
Any other worst moments? I'm trying to think if there was another
I
one.
didn't like. I wasn't a fan of Age of Ultron, like the dream sequences.
Yeah.
I
That
get
that
you.
I feel like they took you out of what was going on in the movie, and then when you came back in, I just don't feel like the transition was done properly. I normally skip that when I'm watching it because it just didn't feel rightly timed for what happened. I knew they had a part of a story they had to put in there, but I feel like that could have been told, you know what I'm saying, in a different manner.
I will throw one more out there just because I still harbor this animosity. I'll give it to Star-Lord for fucking up their game plan on Titan. Fuck you, Star-Lord. We had this ready and you fucked it all up. But anyway.
Oh man, I love that scene.
I'm always gonna give him a hard time. I'm always gonna give him a hard time.
I should say this. I love hating that scene. I love that before it even starts. The moment Star-Lord gets cocky, I'm like, oh, you're gonna fuck it up for all of us.
Fuck it up for all of us, bro.
In hindsight, they put him with the perfect team because I feel like if Cap was there, that wouldn't have happened.
Oh no, yeah.
So it was putting him with Tony and knowing Tony was arrogant. Like that, they had that team that was on Titan was the arrogant team. Like everybody was full of themselves. That was there on that team. Everybody had I'm you know what I'm saying, I'm the best person for this situation that was there. And
my plan is better. Yeah.
If they would have switched teams, they'd have put Cap in space and put Tony on Earth, the movie would have ended at Infinity War.
yeah, no more storyline. I know people definitely defend Star-Lord by pointing out other things that could have certainly changed the outcome and stuff, but there's something fun about really hating on that Star-Lord moment. I don't know what it is. It's really enjoyable.
You can easily blame Thor just as much as Star-Lord for sure. You know, Thor's thing was like he could have ended it there, but he wanted Thanos to suffer, and that was
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for the question. Jessica Fryman says, do you think Supergirl will come back for the 10th anniversary of the Arrowverse?
I really hope so. Because I mean, okay, so I keep hearing that like from specifically this podcast I listen to called The After Party. They seem to believe that Melissa is like completely done with the Arrowverse and she doesn't want to come back. I never got that vibe from her. In fact, it seems like every like behind the scenes thing that you see with her, it looks like she's having a really good time. So I would be surprised if they offered her like a small part in the 10th anniversary crossover and she didn't want to come back for it. I'd be very surprised.
I think anything that Grant asks will be done. At this point right now, is keep Grant Gustin happy as possible. He's the means to the end right now. If we lose Grant, we lose everything.
Yeah, we may need him for our Flash movie. So we may need him for massive reshoots. So let's hold on.
I feel if it's something where it's certain showrunners or if like Grant, if she feels like it's right, maybe if like they have Grant call her or something like that, I feel like it doesn't have to be like a big scene, even if it's like a cameo where like she just pops on and like, wow, you guys didn't even need me. You know what I'm saying? Like that type of thing. Like I feel good that I didn't have to be here type thing. I don't think it's gonna be like dressed up as Supergirl type deal.
I would agree that if Grant wants her to come back, she definitely will. I mean, they're like the best of friends, just attached to the hip sort of thing. But I would agree. I think I never got the sense that she never wanted to tackle this character ever again. Like she's 100% done. So if there is an opportunity to bring her back ever so briefly, I do think that we will see it someday. I don't think her time as Supergirl is over. I think we might get at least one more appearance from her.
And if Hills gets canceled after season 2, that we could possibly get Stephen Amell back as a Green Arrow.
Oh, as a cameo or something?
No, as a series. You saw what happened the last time he was out of work. The last time he's out of work, he was like, "Hey, look,
if you guys need me to come back, if you guys need me, I'm here."
It's so funny because like you see actors do this a lot where they'll leave a show, be like, yeah, I'm done for now, you know, I'm good. And then like after a few years, they're like, you know what, I'd be interested in coming back. I've never seen it happen so fast like it does with Stephen Amell. Like I swear he wasn't even gone from Arrow for like more than a year after he left, and he's already kind of like, hey, you know, if you guys want me to come back for maybe one more season, I'm kind of down.
And then Hills hit, and he was like, oh, it's successful. No,
Yeah.
I'm kind of
No,
done
I'm
with
good.
that part of
I'm
my
good.
life right now. I'm good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we always say. Never say never, man. You never know the
Yeah.
trajectory in which your career will go. Gabriel's got a couple questions. What did you guys think of the Flash series since it first came out during the success of Arrow, and how do you think it's been to this day? Is there anything you're worried about with the show being given a 9th season?
With me, the show started strong and lulled. I think they got a showrunner and writers that understand. I've noticed too when they started letting the stars direct episodes, that because they're so in tune with the characters, it seems like the episodes been getting better paced, like a little bit better. You know what I'm saying? Because they know they're the best people for the job when it comes to their attunement with the characters to start off with. Especially Caitlin Snow. The episodes she directs on her show, other shows, they have been very good. Scenes have been cut well put together. But I think now it's like with Legends of Tomorrow. They understand what the shows are and they understand what works. So they just keep it to that and they're not trying to do too much extra. And that's what's making the shows entertaining. The one I feel bad for is Batwoman, because it really caught a stride during season 2 with the casting change. But I just think it was just too little too late for that. I don't even know if we're going to get that back, which I'm worried about, because it actually got really good. But man, I love it. I don't know what I'm gonna do if the Flash doesn't go to 10 seasons. If 9 is his last, I'm in trouble, because like we said before, everything I review gets canceled or ends. So
That's true. That's true. But you've been on this for quite some time, though. So
I've been on Flash. Yeah, I've been on Flash since season 1. It's the one show where I've been there since the beginning.
Yeah,
I
so
feel like Flash is that exception just because it's got like a pretty good amount of viewers every week, and I think it's still like in the top 10 when it comes to pirated television shows.
Yeah,
Stuart, let me is there anything that you're worried about for the show being given a 9th season?
So I hope they get a little better when it comes to kind of utilizing the comedy at the right points. I feel like some of my issues with the current Flash is just not the comedy itself. I think the Flash should have comedy. I just think it's been utilized weird recently, like especially in season 7.
Chester.
Yeah, Chester definitely. Also, yeah, I'll say this. When it comes to Chester and Allegra, they keep really wanting us to believe they have chemistry. They don't. They really, really don't. But yeah, no, I think like overall though, with Flash season 9, I'm not worried, because I think this last season has actually been a huge improvement from season 7. It seems like the showrunners know what the fans want to see, and they're really trying to adjust with that. In fact, just this season, they finally kind of gave Iris her own thing to do that doesn't necessarily have to be like intertwined with the Flash all the time, and I like that. So it seems like they are like, the Flash has always been an up and downhill show for me, and I think that it's going to be that way this season, and it's going to continue to be that way through season 9. So I'm excited as I am for every new season with season 9. I don't think it's going to get worse, but I also am not really expecting it to get any better than it already is.
I get you. Next set of question from Gabriel. Thoughts on the Twilight films? I actually saw the Full Moon installment, then waited for 2 years to see the second part, Breaking Dawn chapters, which I still think should have been released as one long movie. I regret waiting 2 years, except for Avengers Endgame. Thoughts on Twilight films? I personally have only seen the first one in completion. I did dabble in trying to check out the second one. I was good. And I tapped out of that. I haven't seen any of the other ones since then. It just became too brooding and emo for me. I just the second one felt more than the first. Like, man, we're really diving into this. Like, it was just too depressing for me.
Vampires shouldn't sparkle, and Kristen Stewart isn't that fine to fight over.
Shout out to Kristen Stewart too, real quick though, because I did just see a movie she was in, Spencer, where she played Princess Diana, and I thought she did an incredible job in that movie. And I'm actually not a big Kristen Stewart fan, but this is probably the first time I've actually given her props in a performance. But yeah, what were you gonna say, Indy? I mean, Stewart.
I was gonna say I saw the first movie, not the biggest fan, but I keep getting told that I need to watch the last movie because it's bad, but it has like a really badass action scene. And that's like the only good thing I keep hearing about it. But I hear that action scene is so good that it's kind of worth it. But okay, so kind of like small off tangent with Kristen Stewart. It's funny because her and Jesse Eisenberg, I think as individual actors, are just okay, not that great. Anytime they're on screen together, I just gotta say they make an amazing duo together. Like whenever they're like in a movie together.
Oh, her and Jesse Eisenberg.
Yeah,
I get you. I'm trying to think what I've seen him in before.
American Ultra and
That's right.
Adventureland.
I do remember the American Ultra. I do remember that one. Let's see here. A couple questions from Francois. Appreciate you coming through. He says it's dinner time here in France. What were some of your favorite TV sitcoms from the 80s and 90s? And some you want to come back for a revival series or left alone? Man, I used to watch The Cosby Show a lot. I used to watch Who's the Boss? You mentioned TGIF. I was there. Family Matters. Probably watched Step by Step. Probably watched a little. I mean, the 80s and 90s were just chock full of sitcoms back in the day. I mean, the list goes on and on in regards to what I used to love to watch. What about you guys?
For me, two of my biggest five they've already tried to revive, and that's Fresh Prince. Bel Air is flipping amazing. If you guys haven't watched it,
I can't stand Carlton's ass though.
Yeah. Boy Meets World, they reboot that. I remember always watching that. But my two favorites, which people are going to think I'm weird about this, Saved by the Bell too. They did a reboot of that. That's interesting, but it's not something that like I have to watch. But dude, A Different World. The scenarios that they tackled on that show,
very ahead of its time.
The episode with Tupac, and you know what I'm saying, Lisa Bonet. I mean, I really, really love that show. And Home Improvement. I was a Home Improvement mark. It was nothing Tim Allen could do wrong. You know what I'm saying, in that world for me. And if I had to reboot anything, it'll probably be A Different World. I love to see it up. People keep telling me that's Degrassi. They keep telling me that the updated version of A Different World is Degrassi. But which is making a comeback because there is a new season of Degrassi coming on Netflix. But
I mean, that show never dies.
No,
I mean that's been around since like the 80s, and it's going to keep going.
70s.
Wait, really?
Yes, it's been around since the late 70s.
I didn't even realize that. That's crazy.
But no, I would love for A Different World to have an actual, you know what I'm saying, reboot.
That would be a great one. I would even love to throw in. I was just looking up favorite 90s sitcoms. Martin is up there. Living Single is up there. I used to watch. Maybe give me a Living Single reboot or revival. I would be down for that. What else you got in Indy or Stewart? You got any other ones that y'all used to watch?
I mean, the big one that I'm surprised neither of you brought up.
I mean, there's so many.
It is actually getting a reboot pretty soon. That 70s show, because we got like a sequel series coming called That 90s Show, and it's supposed to be about Eric and Donna's daughter living with Kitty and Red. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, that's another good one also.
But it's also funny because like I don't think there's a single sitcom you guys mentioned that I haven't watched because like
I think we've all watched all these. There's just so much stuff. I mean, back in the 80s and 90s, that's all there was to do.
Well, let's throw it out. The reboots that we have had, the Wonder Years. You know what I'm saying? We got the reboot come out. I mean, I would love
to Full House reboot.
Full House. I'd love to see Alf. Alf would be dope. Perfect Strangers.
Yeah, that would be a good one.
You know, it's a lot of good sitcoms. It was a lot of good TV that we don't have now. I mean, they even did Roseanne. I was really into King of Queens, Married with Children.
I used to watch Knight Rider back. Was that 80s? Probably. Yeah. That's probably more 80s,
bro.
Because I'm old like that.
Fran Drescher was like my my high school crush. So like I was always watching The Nanny. Man, it's a lot. Living Single.
It's a ton of them. Yes, we brought up that. I used to watch Growing Pains back in the day. Family Matters.
Yeah.
It's a bunch of them.
Oh, hold up. Y'all remember Y'all remember City Guys?
I don't remember City Guys. Who was in City Guys? Do you remember?
I don't know. I just remember that name because I remember them calling City Girls City Guys, making fun of the night. I remember the dude. It was it had a I'll fuck it, Google.
Yeah, just Google it. There's just so many sitcoms back in the days, but yeah, that the time periods were definitely different then for sure because it did feel like every day there was a sitcom on. Like that was the thing that you would go home and do on your evenings would be some really great sitcoms Monday through Fridays.
Wesley Jonathan was the star of that.
Okay.
And I don't recognize any of his IMDb.
Let's see here. What else does Francois ask? And Francois does says, what did you guys think of Arnold Schwarzenegger's movie Total Recall? And what did you love about it or found very unique and cool? Didn't they try and do a remake of that recently with Colin Farrell? Total Recall?
Yes.
Yes,
they did. They did a reboot of him. I think that was
I wasn't necessarily the biggest fan of that, the reboot, but the original one I really enjoyed. Wasn't that the movie where Arnold Schwarzenegger's eyes like bulge out of his head or something like that? Always freaked me out as a kid, honestly. Always freaked me out as a kid. And any other Arnold Schwarzenegger movies, let me just double check that he said that you would like to see come back properly. I would love to see Last Action Hero brought back if they wanted to reboot something like that. A Last Action Hero I think would be pretty cool.
Yeah, actually that's probably going to be my answer too, because I feel like especially now with just like Hollywood movies, there's so much that you could make fun of if you did like a Last Action Hero sequel. Yeah, it'd be like a perfect excuse to just kind of parody Hollywood, honestly.
Yeah, it probably would be.
Demolition Man.
Oh, I like that one. That's a good one. Let's see here. What else do we got? AJ's got a question. He's got a long rant about angry thoughts on the Crow. But,
it's not a tumor.
That's a good one, Jonathan. That's my boy Jonathan coming through. That's a great one to fall back on. Didn't he?
Kindergarten Cop starring The Rock.
They did a Kindergarten Cop 2 with Dolph Lundgren.
Oh, did they really?
Yeah,
I didn't even realize that.
It was a straight to DVD movie, obviously.
AJ's got a couple questions. He says, aside from Will Smith and Chris Rock controversy, what were some of your favorite moments from the Oscars this year? Oh God. I watched the entirety of the Oscars, and can I be honest? The Will Smith and Chris Rock moment was probably the highlight of the entire event. I mean, shout out to the hosts. I thought they had a pretty great trio. I feel like comedy, especially when it comes to the Oscars, I feel like people don't know how to react at the Oscars when it comes to comedy. And I don't mean that in regards to, I just mean like just even when the show started, it just felt a little edgy. Like people were a little bit on edge in general in regards to some of the jokes. And I was just like, I don't even know if this fits the Oscars that well or not. You know what I mean? So the Oscars felt off all evening long, to be honest with you. And honestly, I don't really have a great moment other than, I don't even really have a great moment. I actually found it pretty insulting that we had like the polls for fans top 5, fun movies of the year or sort of thing where they put all the popular movies in. It almost just felt like a participation trophy for us nerds. Like, we don't want to celebrate the movies you like, but we will give you a little bit something. Hey, what are your favorite movies? Like, don't chastise me like that, Oscars. That's what it felt like to me. So I really didn't have that enjoyable of a time watching the Oscars this year. The format was relatively different. It just didn't really appeal to me. I don't really have any great moments this year.
I got you. The best moment from the Oscars, hand down, even though I'm a Tory Lane supporter, you know what I'm saying, full through. We Don't Talk About Bruno with the cast with Meg Thee Stallion was hands down the best moment of the Oscars for me.
I will say, I don't remember. I don't think I caught that one, but I did catch the Beyonce performance to kick off the Oscars. That was probably my favorite. That was an incredible piece that she wound up putting together. So if I did have to choose one, a musical piece at the Oscars by Beyonce was probably my favorite.
Well,
I did like though.
weird call.
I think it was kind of weird the way they did in this, and I think they should have like actually mentioned that this was going to be a nominee before. But I do like that they had a category for like best scene in a movie of the year, and they gave it to the Flash scene from Zack Snyder's Justice League. Like that was cool, and I do hope that like in the future for the Oscars, like that's something that they kind of bring back, but actually make it like a poll that people can actually see like what's being nominated for it. Because I do like that there are some movies that you don't really see as Oscar worthy, but having Oscar worthy moments, and so I think that's a great way to give those movies shout outs.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I certainly see your point in that regards, but I guess for me, it just hit me differently.
Yeah.
I get the idea of wanting to add those movies to the Oscar in some capacity, and I do believe I actually voted because they did put the polls over on Twitter for you guys. I don't know if it was a day in advance or a week in advance to go ahead and submit your votes for some of the polls that they had at the Oscars. But yeah, shout out to Zack Snyder for winning both the polls. I think Army of the Dead won for like #1 movie. And I think even his Zack Snyder Justice League won for like best moment in regards to the Flash rewinding time. So Zack Snyder had a field day with the polls, but for me, it just felt insulting to me. Like, we don't want to celebrate you guys fully, but here's a little something for you guys. Like, these movies are good enough to be up there, man, if you ask me sometimes. But yeah.
And yeah, like I said, like if they handled it differently, I think people would be going into that with like a different view. Like obviously the movie thing, I don't think there's a way you could bring that part in without it kind of sounding insulting. But I think with the moments, like specifically when you're talking about specific scenes that deserve an Oscar, I think that's something that should just be a category on its own. In fact, I feel like it's something that should have been a category for the Oscars for the longest time. Because again, there are some not great movies out there that have amazing moments. And it's like, I think that's how you can give those movies the shout out that I think they deserve sometimes.
I do wonder if they actually got an award too. Like, I wonder if Zack Snyder's got 2 Oscars on his mantle now.
Ooh,
for,
I hope so.
for those moments. I don't know. He also asks, remember in Crisis on Infinite Earths when Kevin Conroy returns as evil Bruce Wayne, if you could guess which past live action version of Clark or Superman you would have loved to see in the crossover, even if it's a flashback of Kevin Conroy. I mean, haven't we seen them all though at this point? Like, which past live action version of Clark Kent or Superman you would have loved to have seen in the crossover? We got 2 of them already. How many more do we want in there?
I would have been cool to see Tom Welling in the suit. Or like you keep bringing up Dean Cain.
Not so much anymore. No, fuck
obviously, yeah. Now there's no way you're ever going to see him on a CW show anymore.
Yeah, nah, I'm good. I'm good.
Back, before he was like all over Fox News, I think that would have been one that a lot of fans would have wanted.
That was one that I wanted at the time. Yeah, absolutely. At the time, I wanted it. Yeah.
They could have gave us the Smallville Green Arrow too.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah, that would have been kind of cool.
Did your volume go up, Indy? I'm getting a lot of background feed.
I don't know. I just keep muting and unmuting my mic. I don't know what's going on.
Okay. Let's see here. What movie have you seen the characters? What movie have you seen the characters eat delicious food and really want to try it in real life?
Oh, okay.
That may not actually exist, or if does exist.
That's a really good question. Actually, if there's a YouTube channel called Binging with Babish, and that's specifically what he does is he recreates foods from different movies. I'm gonna let you guys answer first while I look through his catalog, because I'm sure there's something he's made from like I need to try that. Oh no, never mind. I have an answer. Eggs Woodhouse from Archer.
Oh, nice. Jonathan says Dragon Ball. I'm assuming he wants to eat all the ramen he can get in his mouth at once.
Ratatouille.
Oh, yes.
Ooh, that's a good one, man. That's a good one.
Yes.
Just give me that Jon Favreau movie. Was it Chef? We might as well just start going with all the food movies.
Oh, my girlfriend and I actually did create the pasta from that movie, and it's really good.
Nice. I love it, man. I love it. Let's see here. What else we got? Marcelino Vasquez. He says today's questions are Supergirl themed. What Supergirl Would Supergirl be a better show if it never became part of the Arrowverse and remained isolated on CBS in Los Angeles? I'm gonna say no. No, I think it would have been canceled after his first season,
I,
maybe even its second season.
I
I mean,
think it was
technically,
canceled.
It
It
was
yeah,
technically
canceled,
was
right? That's the
canceled.
thing. Like I thought it was
Yeah,
like,
she can hear. She can
or yeah, I can't remember if it was canceled or if it was just picked up or moved over. But you might be right. It might have been canceled on CBS.
I
I
mean,
can't remember.
to my opinion, the writing got a lot better for the show when it moved to the CW.
Yeah.
The only thing that you could kind of see a difference in was the way it was filmed. It felt a lot more like it felt a lot more cheap the way the cinematography was when it moved to the CW compared to the cinematography on CBS. So that's the one thing it had in season 1 that was like slightly better than the other seasons.
Yeah, I was very pleased with its move to the CW, and I think it changed the trajectory. So definitely a much more successful move than had it tried to stay on CBS for sure. Because I don't think CBS knew what they wanted to do with it.
Yeah.
Were there ever plans for Supergirl and Kate Kane to become a couple? Since they hinted that Kara was semi attracted to Kate when she said that she liked Kate's tattoo, and was super ecstatic to see Kate during the fight with Bebo on Crisis on Infinite Earths, or even plans to make Kara and Lena a couple. I don't believe so for either of those. I never really picked up on the idea. The Lena and Kara stuff felt very personal and very emotional just based off of their friendship, but I don't never felt really a hint of attractiveness towards each other. I never picked up on that. What about you guys? Have you ever heard of any plans? I personally have not. No, Indy's saying no.
Nah,
You Stuart, anything?
I personally didn't, and even if they wanted to, I wouldn't see it working because it would be incredibly hard to have two leads on two different shows and like somehow have them be like a couple, because it's not like you could have them crossing over all the time. They still got to lead their own shows separately. So personally, I wouldn't see it working.
He also asks, before Superman and Lois, a lot of people hated how Superman was treated on Supergirl because in their mind, Superman was only ever used to make Supergirl look good while Superman looked weak. Popular examples include not using him during the Invasion and Crisis on Earth X crossovers, Supergirl beating Black Suit Superman with one hit when Superman couldn't beat him in the fight, and extremely controversial Supergirl versus Superman Season 2 fight where he loses to Supergirl despite the fact that he's more experienced and Kara was still new to being Supergirl. What do you think?
I mean, to me, the last one is kind of the only one I agree with. With the other ones, I don't know. I never saw those as him looking bad. I saw them as like they can't get Superman for these crossovers. Warner Brothers aren't letting them use Superman, so of course they're going to use Supergirl. And because she's the one with her own show, of course they're going to utilize her more. The only time I really felt like they kind of disrespected Superman's character on the CW was during Crisis on Infinite Earths, and not necessarily that they didn't respect him. It's more, it was just weird how he was getting one upped by not just Supergirl, but Brandon Routh's Superman like all the time. And especially when they knew they were going to have it, he was going to be getting his own show that next year. So it's really weird that they want to get us hyped for the show, and yet they're making him look so much weaker than not only weaker than Brandon Routh Superman, but weaker than Supergirl, and weaker in a way, than Tom Welling Superman without any powers.
Yeah. Yeah, if anything, yeah, it always kind of rubbed me the wrong way a little bit when they did highlight that. But I guess it didn't bother me so much because I kind of get it. One, it's not Superman's show. Two, you really want to emphasize the idea of the strength and power of Supergirl, so you certainly want to make her look bigger and larger than life, when you do have those moments. So I definitely understand it. I think people that are big fans of Superman certainly would feel some way, and I could definitely understand because it does feel like they jobbed him out to the benefit of Supergirl from time to time. But I also think that it was probably needed, honestly, just because you don't necessarily want to overshadow Supergirl on her own show. Could they have done it maybe differently to still showcased Supergirl in a positive light and not make Superman look as bad, probably. But I get why they did it, even though some people might feel a certain type of way.
Yeah. And again, the only reason it bothered me in Crisis was because they wanted to get us hyped for his own show. And so that's why it was kind of weird at that point that they were, making, even Tom Welling look better than him. That was just weird to me.
Let's dive into. Let's see here. We've got a couple email from Ionis Hernandez. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles from 2014, really worth the hate. I just watched the most recent TMNT reboot for the first time. I hate for this movie the hate for this movie reached astronomical levels, so much so that I avoided it with a fevered passion. However, I sat down and watched it on Netflix tonight, and I have to say, even compared to the original TMNT movies, it really isn't that bad. The action was good, the one-liners were entertaining, and it wasn't nearly as bad as any of the Transformers movies we've had that have been released in the past decade. So, am I the only one that might think about giving this movie a reboot a pass?
Look.
Hey, Mike, Leo, if you're there, it's me, Kino. Hey, Don, come on. April, Ralph's in trouble.
I mean, you just can't compare it to the first two movies. Ralph getting jumped on the roof by the Foot Clan, and then Leo taking care of him in a tub for 20 minutes, and then all of a sudden he's better. It's the opening scene of TMN2 when they're, when they're trying to get the piece and they end up saving Kino from the Foot Clan. Had a little fight inside the little shopping mall and stuff like that. Although the newer movies seem to be more, what I say, comic accurate. There's something about the campiness and all that, the originals that tie us to it, that make it better than the new one. Like, I just felt like they were trying to do too much, even though it was a good movie. That dog outside is going nuts. I don't think he likes the new TMT movie either. But I really feel like the second TMT, the second one they put out, they tried to rectify a lot of that and tried to it felt like humanize the characters a little more, add more human elements into it. But nah, movies with Megan Fox just don't do well.
Let me pass this over to you, Stuart. What do you think about the TMNT movie? Do you think it's do you think it wasn't as bad as people say that it was? Should it be given a pass as a reboot? What were your thoughts in regards to it?
I just thought the first one was like very, very okay. They played it very safe with the script, and it's pretty much you get exactly what you expect from it. I'm kind of with Indy though. Like the second one is the one that I'm surprised people don't talk about more. Not because it's good. In fact, I'd actually say the second one's probably worse than the first one. But it's so crazy balls to the wall that it's just like, I'm surprised that that's not the movie that people bring up in conversation when talking about like the TMNT reboot.
Plus Stephen Amell's in it.
God,
that's right. He is in it, right? He's Casey.
It was so weird because like I feel like they didn't want him to be Green Arrow in this movie, so they had him play like a very weird character, and because of that he was nothing like Casey, because unfortunately Casey is kind of like the Green Arrow, at least the CW's version of the Green Arrow, and the fact that they didn't have him playing what worked on the Green Arrow, that's just weird to me.
I think for the first TMNT, I would agree with you, Stuart, that it was just okay. I didn't mind it, but it wasn't enough to get me to want to even watch the second one. To this day, I have yet to watch the second TMNT movie. I just was gonna avoid it. I'm like, nope, this is just not my cup of tea. I just didn't really care for it after the first one. Honestly, I'd rather go ahead and hang out with the originals for the rest of my life and pretend these movies just never happened. But that's just me. I didn't mind the first one. But it wasn't enough to make me want to come back like, oh yeah, I want to see that again. Nah, I'm good.
I'm not saying this is a good thing, but the second one is definitely memorable. Unlike the first one.
It's way more memorable.
You guys don't say that with confidence though. Like,
I'm not saying it's a good thing. Yeah.
No, the turtles, Krang, the different things went on. Like the second movie even made more sense than the first movie. It's just I think they were just trying too much. But
do you think the first movie should have gotten as much hate as it did though?
I don't think it needed hate. No.
Nah, it was I enjoyed it, but you know, it's nothing memorable from those movies like from the originals. I mean, like just the end of the first one. Hey, look, leftovers. You know what I'm saying? Casey. You know what I'm saying? Outside and or when Casey, when Shredder falls into the garbage bin and Casey goes and you know what I'm saying, hits the switch. Oops. You know, it's so many different things that happen. Shredder beating the dog crap out the turtles until, you know what I'm saying, Splinter got there. It's a bunch of different things, elements of that movie that was just perfect. The way they set up the Foot Clan to be just a gang, you know what I'm saying, that was taking kids off the street and giving them a home. Like it was so much stuff to relate to in that movie. And then they just went balls to the wall on the third one.
Yeah.
So
try and have a MIB memory eraser after that.
Yeah, but Secrets of the Ooze, the first Turtles, you just can't compare it to those two movies. They had a chance to, but they just tried to update it too much. It felt like one of the cartoon reboots. Like they wanted to be something similar to that. And it to me that just doesn't work. When you have a template that works, you can recreate that template. Even the Vanilla Ice concert at the end, you know what I'm saying, TMZ2 and the introduction of Super Shredder, that Kevin Nash was in that suit. You know what I'm saying? It's just different things in pop culture that just signified why that movie was so incredible, and they had none of that in the new movies.
The other thing that the first movie did so fucking well with is that the original comic books that the Turtles come from are super violent and, you know, are not for kids at all, right? Because it's like this really dark, edgy parody of Daredevil and just other like kind of dark comic books at the time. And then you have the cartoon, which is super goofy and totally, you know, just designed to sell toys for kids. And the movie is a perfect blend of the two. It's a lot darker than the cartoon in terms of the story, but the Ninja Turtles themselves, they're nothing like their comic book counterparts. They're straight from the cartoon. So it's like you take the silly characters from the cartoon, but you put them in the dark, you know, gritty world of the comic books, and that's what you get with that first live action movie. And it was blended together so perfectly. I love the first Ninja Turtles movie.
Here's a tip: never pay full price for a late pizza.
For a late pizza. Attila said no one liked Sheamus as Rocksteady. I almost forgot that he was cast.
It was forgettable. It was very forgettable. And,
all right, let's we do have to move on to our next topic, our next question. So go ahead, finish your thoughts though.
No, and just thing, like nobody even saw Kevin Nash in the Super Shredder suit, but we know that was Kevin Nash in the Super Shredder suit because that was memorable that his name was attached to that.
We also got Joey Thompson. He's got a couple questions. What did you guys think of both Spider-Man No Way Home and Into the Spider-Verse, giving us both an awesome crossover with different versions of Spider-Man from different universes? And does No Way Home make you appreciate more of the past live action films we had? I mean, I think so. I kind of wanted to go back and rewatch the Spider-Man movies before going into No Way Home, but after seeing No Way Home, I definitely do think there's a different level of appreciation, maybe even for maybe not so much Spider-Man 3, but definitely a more redemption for the Amazing Spider-Man 2.
I was really happy in Spider-Man No Way Home to find out that, you know, even though it was kind of a, you know, rough relationship after the events of 3, I am happy to know that Peter and MJ are still together. You know, then that got confirmed in No Way Home. But yeah, like as movies, like I think both No Way Home and Into the Spider-Verse are both amazing. I think I like Into the Spider-Verse a little bit more just story-wise, but in terms of what you get from fan service from No Way Home, it's like incredible that they give you exactly what you want, and yet they still know that the story should come first, you know?
Yeah, no, I definitely agree.
No Way Home was better. Into the Spider-Verse was cool, but it took me like 4 times to sit through it to watch the movie.
Really?
I honestly think that's me and the way some animes affect me that way. Like stuff moving across screen too quick. Like I get nauseous and headaches and stuff like that. So sometimes it takes me a while to get through some sort of animes. I think that's why I like Inkasai animes that are a little slower paced and the action is actually slower. King of High School or whatever it is killed me. I couldn't follow anything. I was getting sick trying to watch it, but I covered it. Got a High School. But no, I really enjoyed No Way Home. I feel like it was, to me, it was the perfect way to cap a movie. It was the perfect way to end an introduction to a Spider-Man, because now we are at the point where it's the Spider-Man we know. You know what I'm saying? It was a great origin story. And the way they put it together without letting us know that the fact that these 3 movies he was in plus the Avengers movie and was his origin story rather than making the first movie the origin story was a really dope thing for me.
Yeah, I definitely did like how it kind of came full circle for Spider-Man in general. But yeah, I think for me, I still have No Way Home up there above Into the Spider-Verse. Not to take anything away from it. I mean, it's in my top 3 still when it comes to Spidey movies. But I mean, when it comes to Into the Spider-Verse, I love that it was Miles Morales led, finally getting the opportunity to showcase him as a Spider-Man, to get him into the eyes and the views of the general public. So we get used to seeing a Miles Morales. So when he eventually does get his own live action movie, it makes all the sense in the world, sort of thing. So I thought Into the Spider-Verse is a great way to introduce us to a brand new Spider-Man. And plus, just animation wise, it was just balls to the walls for me in regards to like 3D, the style that they had just really popped off the screen, no pun intended, but it was unbelievable for me. But when it comes to No Way Home, I personally love how it not only wraps up Tom Holland's trilogy for his coming of age and full circle moment to get to the Spider-Man that we knew and loved from Homecoming and all the way through Far From Home. It managed to be such a great way of wrapping up that storyline, but also wrapping up the bigger picture of just the Spider-Man franchise in general, from Sam Raimi to Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man. I mean, to be able to do that all within one movie, just mind-blowing to me. And I thought it was just a great send-off for the property and franchise for whatever certainly might come next. So yeah, really appreciated both of those movies. Would it be sick if we got a video game based on No Way Home where you could play Toby, Andrew, and Tom, even bonus like the villains, and even play as, I don't know why I would want to play as MJ, Ned, and Aunt May, but it's in there. But would it be sick if we got a video game based off of No Way Home? Would you like that idea?
No, because it's gonna be a Sony exclusive.
I mean,
Absolutely.
as long as it's by the guys that did the Spider-Man and Spider-Man Morales game, yeah, I'm all for it. You know, I would actually love to see what it would be like if you have like if you're playing as multiple Spider-Man at once and you're doing web swings. Could you like do really fun combos with that? Like swing off of each other's webs. Like I feel like there's a lot of flexibility you could have as a game developer to do like a lot of fun stuff.
That would actually be pretty cool. I think some really cool like game modes you can have there. Let's see here. We got Nicole Robertson. She's got a couple questions. Appreciate it, Nicole. She says, "Hey everyone, I hope you're all having a great weekend so far. I know Adam broke some news to us yesterday on A Plus More Phenomenal, but what are your guys' thoughts on perhaps transitioning Power Rangers discussion to A Plus Hero Report?" So yeah, so I've had this conversation with Indy along with Stuart already. I believe I've talked to Stuart. I know I talked to
You
Indy
did.
about this. Okay. In regards to the idea that we are shutting down the A Plus More Phenomenal YouTube page, or at least I'm going to stop creating content for it here within the next 6 to 7 weeks. Once we get done with our Dino Fury Part 1 Season 2 reviews, we are going to be stopping doing weekly episodes of A Plus More Phenomenal, so that the singular focus can then turn to A Plus Hero Report and us really taking our Power Ranger content where we talk Power Ranger news and put it into Hero Report, because we are thinking about releasing a midweek show for A Plus Hero Report along with the end of the week show as we have right now. And I'm kind of hoping that with the extra time that we have for Hero Report, that it'll allow some extra room for Power Ranger news to certainly work its way. And since it is comic book related and superhero genre related, I feel like Power Rangers just makes the perfect sense. We did it with A Plus Opinions where we had it all as one hub. So I think it's time to bring it back into the family here with A Plus Hero Report, certainly moving forward. But I shared these thoughts with you guys before. What do you guys think about transitioning Power Ranger discussion to Hero Report?
One thing I mentioned to you was now that we got all the new E1 entertainment content coming out with like new movies and that kind of stuff. I do think that Power Rangers is pretty soon going to be hitting the mainstream again. So I think us moving it to A+ Hero Report will actually be like more beneficial, for us and for Power Rangers as a whole.
Yeah, I think so too, especially with that, like you said, that Jonathan Entwistle stuff coming.
I'd do anything for JDF.
What? I guess you're okay with the idea of Power Rangers being on Hero Report then, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, awesome.
Sorry, I just wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, neither was I. I appreciate the detailed and well thought out response. Thank you, Indy. But no, I'm excited for it, man. I truly am. I mean, it is bittersweet. I started doing YouTube based off of Power Ranger opinions and thoughts, and then it eventually expanded into more overgeneralized thoughts when it comes to the world of nerd pop culture. But in reality, when it comes to the Power Ranger fandom and property, it's probably like my third or fourth favorite franchise, right? Like I'm very much more of a Star Wars, Marvel, DC guy. So this is really my true passion and love. And while I do enjoy talking Power Rangers, I like the idea of also being able to have it amongst other things that I certainly enjoy talking about. I know a lot of YouTube channels that maybe do what we do don't really speak about Power Rangers. So I do want to be able to provide Power Rangers with a home for us here on this channel to give people a place where if you are looking for your Power Ranger news, this could certainly be it, and it not just be specifically surrounding A+ More Phenomenal. So again, we will be talking Power Rangers here going forward. And then on A+ More Phenomenal, if anything, I think maybe my Don Brothers reviews will continue until I'm at least done with that series. We will keep the A+ More Phenomenal channel up there for you guys so that the content certainly remains. So if you want to go back and watch old videos, you certainly can. So yes, definitely with the yes chance. It seems as though everybody's on board with it.
Yeah, in WrestleMania mode right now.
Yes, WrestleMania mode. If you can't answer this as of now, what are your guys' thoughts on Hasbro rebooting the Power Ranger franchise for a more cinematic feel? And do you hope the history of the TV series stays intact? I'll let you and Indy answer that. So Stuart and Indy, what are your guys' thoughts on Hasbro rebooting Power Rangers? And do you hope that the history of the TV series stays intact?
History of the
go ahead, Indy. You go first, Indy.
All right, history of the TV series. No, I can care less. History of the Sentai, yes, but if they're smart, Boom Comics has laid out everything you could possibly need for it to go more serious and have a different, take for a cinematic look out. I mean, just from leading up to the whole Shattered Grid event and everything that came from there, it would be interesting to see if they could adapt that and do it properly. The stories is laid out for you, boys. You just got to do the job. We don't need anything new. I don't know if I would you like to see Lord Drac in live action? I would like to see Lord Drac in live action. Would you like to see everything that spans out from that? Just think about the way they could build a Power Ranger multiverse, just as which the comics, did, and you're good to go. The blueprint's there. Just follow it.
Well, what about you, Stuart? What do you think in regards to what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited to see what they do. Obviously, I can't have like an opinion on whether or not they're doing a good job or not, because obviously none of us know yet. But I'm excited to see what they're going to do with this like new, more cinematic Power Rangers, seeing it with a bigger budget, hopefully seeing it being able to not be forced to kind of follow that formula that it's been following for so long. I do, however, because I love the show and I love its like giant history that it's had for so long, I hope that Hasbro doesn't just pretend all the other seasons, with the exception of Mighty Morphin, never happened. I do hope that even if it's not necessarily directly connected to the mainline universe, I do hope that, in some way we can either revisit the mainline universe or just, just remember that, or maybe like kind of see some of these characters, play a part like, in a different way through the new Power Rangers show, going forward. I don't know. I worded that weirdly, but you know what I mean? Like, basically, I do hope that Hasbro doesn't just pretend the show never happened. Yes, Indy.
Just give it to Feige and Favreau.
Nah, you see, they're too busy with Star Wars, and I'd rather them do an amazing job with what they're doing than have to split their effort down the middle, and then suddenly, rather than having, in the case of Favreau, rather than having a really good Star Wars franchise, now we get a half-assed Star Wars franchise and a half-assed Power Rangers franchise. I wouldn't want that.
Could you imagine, like, when they did the Old Man Tommy comic? The
Yes.
little novel that came out. Could you imagine that in like a Mandalorian style like series? Which
I would
came
eat it
out
up.
like 6
I would
I would
probably
love to
love that.
direct that. That would be so much fun. Like, I'm not even kidding.
Oh man, Tommy. I love
Yes.
it. I love it. Favorite moments from any Super Sentai series you've already seen or would like to see. For those of you who are new, if you've been here for A Plus Hero Report, and we haven't really spoken Power Rangers to you very much. For those of you who don't know, Super Sentai is very much the original concept of Power Rangers, and Power Rangers is sort of adapted from that series over in Japan. So they do currently have a series on right now. It's Super Sentai has been running for 46 plus years over in Japan. So very heavily influenced when it comes to Power Rangers. So yeah, guys, any favorite moments from any Super Sentai series?
Any moment that Ryuto Ozawa was in as Gokai Red and Gokaiger, because every time that man is on screen, it's a moment.
Good old Captain Marvelous, yeah.
Marvelous was you is the reason I am here, is because of you speaking about Gokaiger, me going to watch it and following your content after that is the reason I am here. So that's what got me back into Power Rangers. And if you tell me, there is still to this day not a Ranger to me that is better than Captain Marvelous. He's the best Ranger ever.
I love it, Indy. I love the confidence, bro. What about you, Stuart? Any favorite moments from Super Sentai?
Man, I'm trying. I think my current favorite moment definitely goes to Cure Major. There's one shot in that show that just completely blows my mind of how it was filmed. And I posted about it once on Facebook, where basically it's just a single take, and you see there's like a really badass ground level fight going on. But while that ground level fight is going on, in the background you see that there are 4 different Zords, or I forgot what they call them. They're not Zords, but you see there's like 4 different ones fighting giant monsters in the background, and the camera does such a good job of like focusing on both so well, the way it switches from one to the other. And then I don't know if they use like just one camera or multiple, but make it seem like one camera, but it looks like, it almost feels like it's going from like a crane shot to like a GoPro shot and then back to a crane shot, and I have no idea how they pull that off. That was probably my favorite moment from Super Sentai, just because I have no idea how they filmed it, because it was so freaking cool.
Yeah, I really loved Kara Major, and I think one of the things that I always really highly talked about was the fight sequences, and not so much even the fight sequences, but just the filming method. They did have a ton of really long, unedited fight shots in there. I've seen them navigate all the way through buildings, going upstairs, through corridors, out freaking windows, and back out. I mean, they have some incredible action sequences when it comes to Kara Major. I've been watching Super Sentai for such a long time. There's so many great moments in here, but for me, I don't know why, but I just feel like a personal close connection to anything Go Busters related. And I just always felt the finale battle sequences, or any battle sequences that really showcase a bunch of battle armor damage, like the cracking of the shield and stuff. I always loved those moments because they just felt very personal and very emotional, based off of just what the Go Busters were fighting for in regards to trying to get their parents back and their loved ones after so many years. It just felt very, very impactful for me, and I love the way that it was kind of handled. So shout out to Go Busters there. But yeah, I know Yusai's a big Captain Marvelous fan. Can't go wrong with anything Captain Marvelous related.
I need to watch. I think I'm gonna do Magi Ranger first, and then I will eventually get around to Go Busters.
Yeah, definitely definitely go ahead and check out both of those when you get a chance. Let's see here. Last couple of questions here from good old Michael Rhymes. This is the last set of questions we have. Did you hear of Michael Bay coming out admitting that he sucked as a director and producer of the past Transformer films? Do you hope he doesn't come back to the future films? We just talked about that.
Yeah.
Didn't quite word it that way,
he didn't quite word it that way. But
well, we agree with you.
Yeah. Yeah, we definitely agree with you. I mean, do you hope he doesn't come back for future films? Yeah, I mean, I don't mind Michael Bay. Look, let me say this. I think, and this might upset some people, I don't mind him being on board as a producer. I don't mind him being on board even as a director. But writing, having an influence in the story, please stay away. Please stay away. Any other way, I would probably be open to seeing Michael Bay return as long as he doesn't have impact on the story or the trajectory of the franchise.
Nah, I'm with you on that. He don't need to be doing any of that stuff. He needs to worry about what he's gonna do about Bad Boys 4. With that possibly being canceled now. So he might have to come back to Transformers, to be totally honest with you, because all his stars keep getting in trouble for his other movies. But nah, I wouldn't mind him being a producer, but I think it's time for another director to head on. To be totally honest with you, I would like to see like directors of, take this with a grain of salt, people. Do not attack me later. I would like to see some of the directors from the Fast and the Furious movies actually take a whack at some of the Transformers movies and see what they can come up with there, and maybe have Michael Bay go finish the destruction of the Fast and the Furious movie with the last episode, the last movie. Just let him go destroy that. But the thing I like about him is that he put his all into everything. It wasn't like he didn't try. It was just that it just didn't connect. And so I think he has a concept and he puts in the effort, but somebody else need to be doing the rest of the work.
I get you. Absolutely. What about you, Stuart?
I hope he stays away from Transformers. I don't want him to stay away from films altogether because, when he does his own projects that he's like clearly passionate about, they actually turn out to be pretty decent sometimes. I think we all liked Pain and Gain, and then I'm also really looking forward to seeing Ambulance because that actually had a pretty good trailer.
Yeah, the Ambulance trailer did look pretty good. And last set of questions from Michael here, and this will wrap up our live viewer questions. But thoughts on Thor: Love and Thunder coming out, and do you feel this trilogy is worth seeing? Plus, who you like to see make a cameo or reference from the MCU? Did you always see Thor as a movie franchise being what it is now, lighthearted? In my opinion, the second to me felt like a perfect balance between the dark and funny. I never saw any issues with it in regards to, I'm assuming, the dark world. But thoughts on Love and Thunder coming out, and do you feel that this trilogy is worth seeing? And do you always see Thor as a movie franchise being what it is now? I don't know if I ever thought, I assumed Thor would get a trilogy. I never thought Thor would be the one out of the big three to get like a fourth movie, though. I don't think I ever saw that kind of happening. So I am kind of surprised, but I will give credit to Taika Waititi and the writers and everybody of Love and Thunder, or I should say Ragnarok, to inject some much needed fuel into this character, especially after the second one, to bring some extra juice to even get a fourth one out of this. Honestly, I don't know if this is where I expected Thor to go, but I've loved the direction that they've had for him so far.
Like for me, I think it makes sense that they wanted to go with this new direction because, like you kind of mentioned in your question, the second one had like a balance of comedy and drama like decently, but I feel like the problem was the story was just so forgettable. A lot of Thor 2 was just so forgettable. And I think that's one thing that Marvel's like trying to avoid. And that's why I think they went with, a very different route. They wanted to make sure that that Thor stays as a memorable character. And I think that's, even if you're not like a fan of the third movie's like more comedic tone, which personally, I kind of like the way they did it in the third movie. And I look forward to seeing how they do it in the fourth movie. But, regardless on your thoughts on whether or not you like it or hate it, you remember it though. And that's, I think, what Marvel tries to really go for.
I think Ragnarok was more on the comedic side, but I don't think that was because it was supposed to be a comedic movie. A lot of people deal with death and depression through trying to laugh at everything, you know what I'm saying, to make fun of everything. If you pay attention to Thor and what he's going through, he's really in this movie hiding his emotions and trying to figure out who he is after losing his mom and then turn around losing his dad. So he's really trying to deal with all of that and figure out who he is and the position that he's going to be in. So I understand where the comedic tone came from, but I always looked at it as him just trying to deal with the BS that was going on in his life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I am hoping that when it comes to Love and Thunder, as bonkers as everything that I've been reading about this movie is going to turn out to be, I mean, I think Taika Waititi's even jokingly said this movie shouldn't even be made. Like as crazy as much stuff is about to happen in this film, I mean, I think he even questions it. So I am kind of curious, like, while I enjoy the comedy aspect, and I do think it really helps bring Chris Hemsworth's own personality out a little bit in regards to his goofiness, I would like to see that balance that even Michael is kind of bringing up here. While I don't necessarily, Thor: The Dark World maybe a little bit too dark storyline wise, didn't really hit the way that I wanted it to. I would like to see maybe a little bit more of a balance in regards to comedy and a focus on character and the story. Not to say that Taika Waititi lost that, but I think Thor Ragnarok was a real big shock to the system for people, considering where we literally had just come from. So I can see some people not being cool with that level of comedy that Thor has kind of now turned into. So I am hoping that what Taika Waititi does seemingly tend to do best is have a really good balance. I think he is one of those few directors and writers out there that can add humor, but also really touch upon very sensitive subjects or, just very emotional subjects from time to time. So I do hope that this movie, while still diving into the comedy and the craziness, brings a little bit more levity, so that we do get that proper balance between Thor so far. But Yusai thinks that Thor is perfect where he's at now. He didn't find his ground until his third film. So to me, this is really his second lead film. Do you think he's got a perfect balance now, or would you like to see more balance from Thor?
I don't think you've done seeing Thor developed. I think this being the first movie at the end game, you're going to see him be more lighthearted, but now he's going to be looking to be developed into the leader, you know what I'm saying, or whatever they needs to be. So I don't think he's through developing into the core character that you're going to see, but I do feel that this is the vibe that sits well with fans the most. But I really think that you're in for some big changes when it comes to Thor's personality.
And then on top of that too, like, even though Taika Waititi did bring a lot of comedy to the third movie, he does, as a director, know how to really get the emotional scenes down. Like, have you guys seen the movie Jojo Rabbit?
Yeah, I love that movie.
Like, there is one scene in particular that is just so shocking and, like, just kind of comes out of nowhere but doesn't feel out of place. I feel like he can bring that, especially if we're bringing back Jane Foster and we're giving her the Love and Thunder or we're giving her the storyline where she becomes Thor, which could possibly mean that, we might have the cancer storyline from the comic books. I think if anyone, it was going to kind of bring in a dark story, but like put it into like kind of a more comedic film, but like without it being like without the comedy aspects feeling inappropriate, I guess is the best way to put it. I feel like Taika Waititi is the kind of director that would know exactly like how to put the right kind of comedy into a movie like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. So I am very much looking forward to Love and Thunder. There's some really great opportunities here. I'm really excited to see what Valkyrie's storyline is going to be. I want to see how Jane Foster returns and how they even balance out the idea of her playing the mighty Thor with a returning Chris Hemsworth as our lead Thor also. So I am kind of curious to see how that balance will certainly take place. But we'll see, guys. But other than that,
Fingers crossed for Asgardians of the Galaxy to make an appearance.
Yeah, most definitely. But guys, I think if anything, that will wrap up all of our live viewer questions today. So thank you very much for everybody that participated. I don't know if we gave Frankie or Frank a shout out, but thank you, Frank, for coming through. He says, I think the Oscars need to give an award for best stunt. Yeah, I think if there's any category I would like to see, it would be best stunt. You know, the pushback I feel like when it comes to best stunt is, since a lot of movies have stunts, like what's the qualifications? You know what I mean? I would be kind of curious. Like, I want to see a best stunt award handed out, but I am kind of curious thinking about it. Like, what would be the requirements to even be accepted, right? Like, I guess my worry would be, you know, is it the most dangerous? Is it like the most technical, right? Like, are they going to start pushing the envelope even more when it comes to stunts and maybe putting stuntmen even more in danger just to acquire an Oscars? You know, it's just those type of things that I think about, that I'm not quite sure how you make it one, but it is one that I definitely want to see, even though I know the Mission Impossible guys would win like every single time they come out. Tom Cruise would be up there accepting awards with all the crazy ass stuff that they wind up doing. But what do you guys think? I mean, do you have any ideas of what requirements would be needed to even be nominated for a best stunt? Is that a category you would like to see?
It's a category I would like to see, but I would want them to have people that are actually like actual stunt people, like to be the ones to judge what's the best stunt, because I might look at something and think, oh my gosh, how did they pull that off? But I'm not a stunt person, so for all I know, that stunt they did was actually extremely easy and anyone could have done it. So yeah, I would love to see that as a category, and then it could also get people more interested in learning about the process when it comes to creating such choreography and that kind of stuff.
That would be pretty cool. I do like what Yusai said here. The Oscars doesn't even have a best comedy category, and that's a problem. I am kind of surprised. I really would have thought comedy would be an option up there also.
Yeah.
How about you, Indy? Do you think comedy deserves comedy or even horror films? Do they deserve like a category of their own?
Yeah, everything deserves that category. Their own category in order to do the stuff. I mean, horror films and comic book films are the theatrical industry right now. That's what you know what I'm saying? I feel like that's what keeps them running. So they got to do something. They got to shake something up. The Oscars is full of people who don't respect the hard work of people that deserve it, in my opinion. And it just needs to be the right people in them seats getting them votes.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what the Oscars is going to do kind of going forward. It is a show that I feel like has lost a lot of ratings over the years, although after this one, who knows, people might tune in like crazy next year just to see what other crazy shit happens. But I think the Oscars problem has always been trying to find an identity for itself, and I feel like it's been struggling with that over the past like 10 years or so. It almost feels like it's trying to avoid being a celebration of movies to try and be something cooler and more appealing, and maybe it does need to make some significant changes to it, but I hope it finds its footing in regards to what it truly wants to be as the future goes on.
Yeah, because I don't need movies like Fast and the Furious winning best stunt every year.
That stunt for when you drove that car from one building to the other building, just like have even the cast looking at each other confused, like that was all CG. No one actually did that.
It should have to be physical. It should have to be stunts that are actually done. It shouldn't be anything that's like CG'd in.
Yeah, Frank thinks that for best stunt, the criteria should be the stunt that serves the story best and not just a stunt for stunt's sake. Interesting.
That's true.
I would be interested to see how that comes to life one day, but we'll see, guys. But listen, at the end of the day, these are just simply our A+ opinions, but we always want to go ahead and know yours, guys. What do you think about some of the live viewer questions we answered, some of the articles that we talked about? Certainly feel free to let your thoughts be known in the live chat or the comment section box below after this video airs, as it really does help our algorithm for the channel and our videos. It really does go a long way. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please hit that subscribe button along with that big thumbs up. It certainly does go a long way when you like our videos. And and feel free to share our videos or clips of anything that we certainly talk about around here to continue to show your support. If you haven't joined our Discord yet, please go ahead and do so. If you want to follow up with us and keep in contact with us outside of our YouTube page, our Discord forum community is a fantastic way to do so. There is a link in the description box below. But let me go around here real quick, guys. Indy, if people want to find you on social media, where can they find you, Indy?
At first, as always, you find me right here at A+ Hero Report. Anywhere else is at Nerd Mix Alpha. And if I may, I have a shameless plug. Because I did something for our fans here. I'm headlining the show June 16th, the Speakeasy show at Goodfellas Bar. I even made a graphic.
Nice.
Yeah, the big thing about this is that those who aren't in Indiana and can't attend, we will be streaming the concert live. So I have details at Nerd Mix Alpha on Instagram for how you guys can get in there to be able to view and support. And yeah, just make sure you like and subscribe to the channel because it helps support everything we do.
Awesome, Andy. Appreciate that plug, man. And definitely go ahead and show support, guys, when you get a chance. Stuart, if people want to follow you on social media and reach out to you, where can they find you?
You guys can follow me on Twitter at TurboStew01 right here.
Awesome, man. Of course, guys, if you want to follow us on social media, you can do so right up here at A+ Opinions or right down here. Very active over on Twitter as well as Instagram. And you can definitely check us out over on Facebook, which is our main hub, guys. That's where we post all of our news articles throughout the week. Posters, memes, articles, theories, speculation, trailers, all that stuff is up there. And then we select the stories from there to go ahead and talk about here with you guys. So definitely go ahead and follow us on social media. But other than that, I think that's going to wrap it up for us here, guys. We certainly will be back later on this week. We got a ton of content we're going to be flooding you guys with as we hit up some of the reviews this week. And then we'll definitely be back next Sunday live at noon Central Time. But other than that, guys, I think that's going to do it for us here. So until then, do me a big favor. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. And keep it A+. We'll talk to you guys later. Bye.